Jack laughed heartily. Brother, do not be so hasty. The rewards consist of Demon Hunter points, which are quite valuable and can be exchanged for various resources. The most basic exchange option is cash. Each point can be converted into $100. Su Yunzhou lowered his gaze in contemplation. He intended to scour the city for resources. However, outright theft was impractical. While he felt quite powerful, he could not hope to contend with the military forces of America. Should the military be summoned, his best outcome would be to flee in panic. Perhaps such a ploy could be executed during his departure, he mused. Another option was to sell gold. Yet that too presented challenges. Without connections, converting such assets into cash within a mere 12 hours seemed overly ambitious. In this unfamiliar foreign land, merely locating a buyer for illicit gold could take an indeterminate amount of time. Thus, he was left with two potential courses of action, to steal or to purchase. Su Yunzhou felt a pang of regret, reflecting, if only I had retained some dollars from my time in the City of Sin. However, he soon realized that this regret was unwarranted. The America within this world is not the same as the America of the Sin City. Although the backdrop may appear identical, the currency in use is entirely different. Jack, with great enthusiasm, guided Su Yunzhou and his companion from the registration desk to the mission hall. You two good fellows can accept tasks here. Upon arriving at the task window, Su Yunzhou's gaze swept across the array of assignments. C grade, 50 points. Investigate the abandoned building on XX Street. Suspected vampire activity. C grade, 50 points. Investigate the owner of the XX Shopping Street. Suspected to be a vampire. B grade, 300 points. Eliminate the vampire appearing in XX Park. 3 victims have already been reported. Maximum of 2 members in a team. A grade, 1,000 points. A gathering of vampires has been reported on XX Street. Proceed to eradicate them. Maximum of 10 members in a team. As Su Yunzhou surveyed these tasks, he furrowed his brow and inquired, why are all the task locations marked as XX? Jack explained, this is to prevent individuals from completing the tasks without officially accepting them. Only after accepting a task will you be able to see the specific location. He added, furthermore, you are not permitted to accept multiple tasks before completing the previous one. Su Yunzhou frowned. He silently pondered. Are vampires a protected species? Is there a limit on the number to be hunted? Without further contemplation, he declared, my teammate and I will accept the B-grade task. Jack's expression changed immediately, and he urgently advised, that is not advisable. You have just registered as vampire hunters. It is best not to undertake a B-grade task right away. Generally, one should complete at least 5 C-grade tasks before considering a B-grade assignment. Jack's concern was palpable. Do you realize that newly registered hunters attempting a B-grade task as their first mission have a survival probability of only 2? At that moment, the previously mentioned burly woman scoffed. If they wish to court death, let them. What is the use of Jack's warnings? Su Yunzhou spoke again. We shall proceed with this B-grade task. Jack, after all, was not the task manager. He was merely a B-grade hunter guiding newcomers. The staff responsible for the task window offered no further discussion and directly provided Su Yunzhou with the details of the B-grade task. B-grade, 300 points. Eliminate the vampire appearing in Henderson Park. 3 victims have already been reported. Maximum of 2 members in a team. Victim details, click to view. Task assignees. Su Yunzhou C. Zhongning C. After accepting the task, Su Yunzhou left without hesitation. Clutching the electronic tablet map, Jack watched the two depart with a face full of concern. Michaela, I think I should follow them. Their recklessness might lead to their demise on the very first task. Michaela coldly replied, these individuals from other countries have no idea how formidable vampires truly are. Moreover, these two appear rather untrustworthy. Should they manage to survive, it would undoubtedly attest to their prowess. If they perish, we can simply replace them with another team of foreign aid. By the way, what of that foolish third person? They have yet to arrive. Michaela's temper was quite tempestuous, her tone laced with palpable ire. Clearly, she was disinclined to concern herself with the fate of the 2 inexperienced youths. Observing his old partner's demeanor, Jack refrained from uttering a word. As Su Yunzhou and Zhang Ning prepared to head to Henderson Park, Huang Jinkai cautiously disembarked from the train, surveying his surroundings with keen scrutiny. A sardonic smile crept across his lips. He had not anticipated that the couple would be so eager as to follow an unfamiliar NPC. They truly seemed desperate to embrace their fate. Evidently, they had not endured the harsh realities of the station, Surviving until now could indeed be deemed a stroke of luck. Upon reaching the station entrance, Huang Jinkai spotted a tall, African-American man. This imposing figure, with distinctly thick lips, was smoking and casting a nonchalant gaze around him. Soon, their eyes met, yet Huang Jinkai remained vigilant, refraining from approaching hastily. "You must be the tardy bastard," the man remarked. "I'm Thorn. Come with me. You're wasting my time." Huang Jinkai hesitated momentarily before advancing, all the while remaining on guard. "Hurry up. I need to bring you back to the Demon Hunter Guild for a debriefing." What a nuisance. Thorn was anything but courteous, delivering a swift kick to Huang Jinkai's rear. The latter felt a surge of anger. Yet, upon witnessing Thorn's towering, formidable stature, he thought better of retorting. Huang Jinkai's slight frame stood in stark contrast to Thorn, resembling the hapless characters often depicted in cartoons. He jogged ahead, while Thorn, visibly displeased, spat on the ground behind him. What a bother. However, his gaze lowered, and he noticed that the diminutive man's backside had an unexpected curvature. Thorn instinctively licked his lips. Chapter 125. The Swimsuit Vampire Mare at long last. Huang Jinkai arrived at the Demon Hunter Guild. "I'm sorry, but we cannot process your information authentication at this moment. You will need to wait 6 hours." The receptionist informed him. "It should take 6 hours. 5 will suffice. Please hold on." The receptionist, a well-meaning individual, kindly advised Huang Jinkai, "By the way, do not wander the streets alone. You currently lack legal status in our country. If you are apprehended by the night patrol, you will certainly end up in a detention center." Huang Jinkai was momentarily taken aback. Then what are the other two? They must have just arrived as well. Where have they gone? Recognizing Su Yunzhou and Zhang Ning, the staff member answered candidly. They have already registered as demon hunters and accepted a B-level mission. They should be preparing to embark on their task. Then why am I not able to do the same? He merely arrived an hour late. Why such a vast discrepancy? Others have already commenced their tasks, while he is destined to squander an additional 5 hours. Moreover, he cannot venture anywhere, not even back to the station, for the streets may harbor the risk of being apprehended by inspectors. Huang Jinkai's gaze was imploring as he looked towards the imposing figure of Thorn. Thorn, who had initially intended to depart, upon hearing that Huang Jinkai had nowhere to go, licked his parched lips once more. Would you like to spend the night at my place? If that's agreeable. We could also visit the supermarket to procure some snacks and drinks." Huang Jinkai's eyes immediately brightened, swallowing hard. Snacks. Alcohol. It had been previously mentioned that the current train conductor was not lacking in provisions, but this only pertained to staple foods like rice and flour. Fresh meat and vegetables, which cannot be preserved at room temperature for extended periods, are generally exorbitantly priced and inaccessible. On the train, gourmet fare undeniably serves as a form of spiritual solace. As for cigarettes and alcohol, they represent the pinnacle of indulgence. In high-pressure environments, some find it impossible to sleep soundly without a drink, while others struggle to think without a cigarette. Upon hearing of the possibility of alcohol, Huang Jinkai inexplicably placed his trust in this newly acquainted black man. "Then, Thorn, I shall indeed spend the night at your place." "Great, no problem. Let's first head to Sam's to grab some food and drinks." Huang Jinkai beamed with joy. In this indifferent survival game aboard the train, he had seldom experienced such warmth. That night, Henderson Park felt somewhat chilly. During the day, it bustled with people engaged in exercise, leisurely strolls, or simply passing through. Indeed, it was teeming with life. However, by nightfall, not even a homeless person could be seen resting there, which undoubtedly aroused Su Yunzhou's wariness. Venturing deeper into the park, he quickly stumbled upon 2 lifeless bodies. Their tattered clothing and emaciated frames exuded a peculiar odor. It was evident they were homeless individuals, and like many of their kind, they were addicts. The next moment, Su Yunzhou heard a disgruntled complaint. "Ugh, this tastes dreadful. These malnourished societal failures. Even their blood is so unpalatable. They are nothing but refuse of society." Su Yunzhou's gaze shifted forward. Before he could utter a word, Zhang Ning, standing beside him, flushed with anger, shouted, "Wretched woman, devoid of any sense of shame." Not far off stood a tall white woman, her back adorned with a pair of bat-like wings, her skin pale to the point of being colorless. Under the dim glow of the streetlight, she resembled a pure white statue. However, this alone was insufficient for Zhang Ning to hurl such an epithet. The crux of the matter lay in the fact that this imposing figure was clad in a bikini that barely concealed her modesty. Coupled with the exaggerated proportions characteristic of white women, the scene was undeniably striking. Her attire was such that it rendered Zhang Ning, a rather conservative girl, unable to bear to look directly at her. The vampiric figure in the swimwear gazed intently at Su Yunzhou and Zhang Ning, a terrifying smile spreading across her face. Her lips curving back to her ears, revealing two pointed fangs that glistened sharply in the night. Two demon hunters, devoid of silver weaponry, dare to trespass on my territory? Truly, I've been gravely underestimated. The shameless vampire emitted a shrill shriek and lunged towards Su Yunzhou, her eyes ablaze with bloodlust. Master, be careful. Zhang Ning's expression darkened as she pressed her palm against her chest, unleashing several yellow talismans that flew forth, cascading towards the vampire. Each talisman bore a different effect. One formed a pale blue shield before Su Yunzhou, capable of absorbing damage, while another exploded with sparks upon the vampire's forehead. One crystallized ice upon her left leg, and yet another sent a flying dagger piercing into her chest. The effects of the talismans were akin to those of magical scrolls, both forms serving to store a particular skill within the talisman. No incantation or magic invocation was necessary. Mere activation sufficed to trigger their power. Of course, such items were single-use consumables, labor-intensive to create and not inexpensive. Yet, Zhang Ning was indeed a talisman master. Su Yunzhou recognized this and regarded her with newfound respect. The talismans Zhang Ning had launched did indeed affect the vampiric figure, who stumbled back a few paces, now wary of Zhang Ning. All right then, it seems you are the true powerhouse. I shall deal with you first. The vampire possessed formidable physical prowess, and Su Yunzhou estimated her strength to be about half of her own. Quite impressive indeed. Su Yunzhou smiled, choosing not to strike immediately, for Zhang Ning still had the energy to fight. As the vampire shifted her focus towards Su Yunzhou, she retrieved a talisman and affixed it to the ground beneath her feet. In an instant, a formation rapidly materialized at her feet. At that moment, the swift vampire extended an alabaster arm, claw-like, reaching for Zhang Ning's throat. She believed that seizing her throat would allow her to effortlessly crush her neck. However, the formation beneath Zhang Ning summoned a faint golden barrier in a circular shape, abruptly manifesting. The vampire's arm was caught within the barrier while the rest of her body remained outside of it. In an instant, a wail of agony echoed through the air. The arm trapped within the barrier was severed cleanly, blood gushing from the stump and staining the golden shield. What manner of magic is this? The vampire, unfamiliar with Eastern sorcery, perceived this ability as nothing short of magical. Her regenerative powers were commendable, yet they paled in comparison to that of a blood ancestor. Su Yunzhou observed the severed limb, which was visibly regenerating flesh at an astonishing rate. However, this pace is rather slow. Su Yunzhou estimates it will take at least 10 minutes for a complete restoration. Compared to the self-proclaimed blood ancestor he encountered initially, a juvenile vampire, this is quite sluggish. That individual could swiftly regenerate within mere seconds, even after sustaining a headshot. Chapter 126. The regenerative ability of the blood ancestor. How do you know of its existence? The swimsuit-clad vampire covered her severed arm, her gaze wary as she scrutinized Su Yunzhou. How can inexperienced demon hunter, lacking even silver weaponry, possibly be aware of the blood ancestor? Are you familiar with the blood ancestor? Su Yunzhou inquired cautiously. I only know that the blood ancestor is the progenitor of our vampire lineage, immortal and indestructible. As long as a trace of flesh remains, given sufficient time, they can restore themselves to their original form. Is that so? Su Yunzhou narrowed his eyes. Then if I were to cleave the blood ancestor in two, would that not result in two blood ancestors? The vampire shook her head in denial. The essence of all extraordinary abilities lies in spiritual energy rooted in the soul. Only the half that possesses a soul retains formidable regenerative capabilities. Suddenly, Zhang Ning furrowed his brow. My lord, do not waste your breath with her. She intends to flee. Upon hearing this, the vampire took a swift step back, her figure retreating rapidly. Her previous appearance, cradling her severed arm and feigning exhaustion, was merely a ruse. Yet, in the next moment, she felt a warm hand tightly grasping her cold nape. Did I permit your departure? Su Yunzhou stood behind her, his grip firmly sealing her fate. TCH, arrogant human. At this proximity, I could easily perish alongside you. Blood explosion. In that instant, the stunningly beautiful swimsuit-clad vampire was struck by a horrific realization. The lower half of her body was entirely devoid of sensation. How is this possible? What have you done to my body? Su Yunzhou merely smiled faintly. Do not fret. It is merely a trivial jest. The specter of death loomed over her, and it was an inescapable demise. I will speak. Do not kill me. I am willing to offer you anything. Although her skin was unnaturally pale, her visage and form were undeniably that of a quintessential Western beauty, exuding a captivating allure. Nevertheless, Su Yunzhou remained unmoved, his tone icy. Now, I shall pose a question, and you'll provide an answer. Should your response fail to satisfy me, your head will relocate. Please, my lord, ask away. I shall divulge all I know. Su Yunzhou spoke calmly. How do you know of the blood ancestor's existence? My lord, this is not a secret among vampires. As long as the blood ancestor's soul endures, the physical form does not truly perish. Indeed, my lord, that is correct. Su Yunzhou's brow furrowed deeply, his thoughts racing. He recalled that day in the bloody town, when he had blasted the juvenile vampire's head with a silver holy crossbow. What if silver weapons were particularly effective against vampires? Even with silver weaponry, it is impossible to utterly vanquish the blood ancestor. While their regenerative abilities may be suppressed by silver, their souls cannot be completely extinguished. Su Yunzhou exhaled deeply. I understand now. Rest assured, I am a man of my word. If I say I will not kill you, I shall not. The swimwear-clad ocean mare beamed with delight. Then I will escort you back to the Ghost Hunter Guild. In the next moment, however, her expression morphed into one of sheer terror. Kill me. I beg you, in my life. No, do not take me to the Ghost Hunter Guild. It is a hellish place. Those demons conduct experiments on vampires. Please be quiet. Su Yunzhou hoisted the unconscious ocean mare as he traversed the dimly lit streets of New York. Soon, he encountered a patrol team. Hey, what are you doing? Su Yunzhou's current predicament was easily misinterpreted. He was dragging a bikini-clad beauty by her neck while searching for the way back to the guild. Two uniformed officers swiftly surrounded him. With the presence of vampires, the entire city was in disarray. Any peculiar individuals were subject to questioning. An Asian face? Oomph. Clearly not a respectable person. Apprehend him. Another officer leered with a lascivious grin. Capturing such a beautiful young lady, your identity raises suspicions. Please cooperate with us and return to the station. Su Yunzhou decisively presented his ghost hunter identification. This is a vampire, and I am a ghost hunter. The previously arrogant officers immediately adopted a posture of utmost respect. They had always believed that no Asian could possibly be a ghost hunter. Yet, Su Yunzhou's identification was genuine. You truly are a ghost hunter, my apologies. Is that woman a vampire? Ghost hunter, do you require a ride back to the guild? Su Yunzhou raised an eyebrow. Contemplating. It seems that in this world, the status of a ghost hunter is quite esteemed. After verifying Su Yunzhou's credentials, they did not proceed to inspect Zhang Ning, who trailed behind. Subsequently, the two officers drove Su Yunzhou back to the Ghost Hunter Guild. To his surprise, Jack was still there. Upon seeing their return, he smiled. Oh, my friend, you have evaded danger. Who is it that you have captured? Could it be? At that moment, another voice resonated through the hall, exuding impatience. It was Michaela's voice. Hence, I say, newcomers bring trouble. Yet it is fortunate that you returned safely. Since we have not yet concluded our shift, let us promptly withdraw their mission and select another C-rank task. Michaela appeared somewhat irritable, though not malevolent. She was merely vexed by Su Yunzhou's arrogance. No, Michaela. Jack's voice quivered. They completed the task. Haha, Jack, you are too humorous. Michaela spoke with a tone of reverence, but in the next moment, her expression was replaced by astonishment. A robust woman of African descent emerged from the hall and immediately spotted the woman held captive by Su Yunzhou. As a seasoned demon hunter, she swiftly recognized that this individual had an exceedingly pale complexion. Is she a vampire? Su Yunzhou nodded affirmatively. Indeed. Would you like to verify? She is the vampire causing chaos in Henderson Park. Michaela responded incredulously. How is that possible? You truly accomplished it? You are merely novice demon hunters. Jack patted her shoulder and said, Michaela, this is skill. The martial arts of the Dragon Kingdom. You are truly remarkable. Without even silver weaponry, you managed to defeat a vampire. Jack congratulated from the side. You've completed a B-level mission. If you capture her alive, you can earn double points. You must be eager to redeem your points, right? I will take you to submit your mission and then to the Point Redemption Center. Jack enthusiastically led Su Yunju and the others back to the previous mission window. Chapter 127. A-level demon hunting mission. Having exceeded the B-level mission, you have earned 600 points. Would you like me to provide information on the Point Redemption store? Jack smiled. Thank you. The receptionist, seemingly accustomed to the night shift, appeared quite alert as she casually handed over a tablet. Su Yunju browsed through it, frowning slightly. The items displayed were rather impressive. The most basic option was cash. With 1 point redeemable for $100, Su Yunju already possessed $60,000. However, there were also 2 additional panels for equipment and potions. Body Enhancement Potion Type 1, 100 points. Epinephrine Type 1, 50 points. Healing Potion Type 1, 20 points. Equipment Panel, Full Coverage Lightweight Special Armor, 500 points. B-Class Silver Weaponry, Cold Weapon, 100 points. B-Class Silver Bullets, 30 units, 10 points. Jack explained, unless you're in dire need, I would not recommend exchanging for cash. You must understand, the potions and equipment here cannot be obtained for less than tens of thousands of dollars outside. They're exclusive to demon hunters, you see? Jack chuckled heartily, wearing a proud smile. Demon hunters protect humanity from vampire attacks. Hence we naturally possess certain privileges. However, Su Yunju's tone remained somewhat somber. Jack, the sacrifices made by demon hunters in battles against vampires must be significant, right? He could distinctly sense the combat prowess of the formidable adversary before him. In this world, Su Yunju had yet to encounter any beings akin to superheroes. If they were merely slightly stronger than ordinary individuals, supplemented by the so-called silver weaponry, then these demon hunters might pale in comparison to true superhumans. Thus, one could conclude that both parties were evenly matched, with neither able to gain the upper hand over the other. Jack sighed. Indeed, being a demon hunter is a perilous profession. From the day we embraced this calling, we have been prepared to make sacrifices at any moment. Suddenly, Su Yunju casually inquired, why not employ heavy artillery against vampires? He failed to comprehend why. In an era of such advanced technology, the United States still resorted to the so-called silver weaponry. Wasn't he that akin to using a sledgehammer to crack a nut? Jack replied, Su, you clearly have not perused the Demon Hunter's manual with due diligence. You ought to understand that heavy weaponry is ineffectual against vampires. It is imperative to utilize silver bullets. Su Yunju furrowed his brow. Did all vampires share the same fate as the blood ancestor, wherein annihilating the physical form without extinguishing the soul held no significance? It seemed implausible. If ordinary vampires were indeed that formidable, humanity would have long been extinguished, rendered futile by mere silver weaponry. Something felt amiss. A logical inconsistency gnawed at him. Deep in thought, he refrained from voicing these doubts, aware that his knowledge was still insufficient. Jack, can Zhang Ning and I be promoted to B-level demon hunters? Of course, my good comrades. Jack responded with enthusiasm. While Michaela remained silent, she too acknowledged their capabilities. Successfully capturing a vampire on their inaugural mission was an impressive feat for any demon hunter. However, Su Yunju's subsequent remark left both of them in astonishment, even causing the usually impassive staff member at the counter to display incredulity. Can we then undertake A-level missions? Have you lost your mind? Michaela exclaimed. Do you realize what you are suggesting? A-level missions entail confronting at least multiple vampires, and with your current skills, you will be courting death. As Michaela expressed her concerns, Su Yunju retorted, how can you claim to know our capabilities? Frustrated, he thought. These individuals from Dong University exhibit no humility whatsoever. Michaela, a strong-willed woman of African descent, was irked by their audacity. Jack quickly interposed, let us not escalate this. And Su, consider that there are only the 2 of you. Where will you find the remaining 8 teammates? After all, you have only executed 1 mission, and without a substantial track record, other demon hunters are unlikely to join forces with you. Su Yunju smiled. It seems there is no stipulation that an A-level mission must consist of a 10-person team. Is there? A hush fell over the group. Fortunately, it was already midnight, and the number of demon hunters present was sparse. Otherwise, Su Yunju's words would undoubtedly have elicited derision from a crowd. Jack chuckled awkwardly. Su, please don't jest. While humanity may contend with a single vampire, it is utterly impossible for the human body to simultaneously confront more than 1 vampire. The physical prowess of vampires far surpasses that of humans. Michaela stood nearby, elucidating the situation. She had come to realize that these two individuals from the prestigious university were nothing but naive novices. Even a staff member shook his head, stating, "I must remind you that since the establishment of the Demon Hunter Guild, no duo has ever undertaken an A-level mission. After all, the mortality rate for even a 10-member team executing an A-level task soars to 41. You two are merely courting death." Su Yinzhou replied with a calm demeanor. "I have but one question. Does my acceptance of an A-level task adhere to the regulations?" The room fell silent, followed by a resigned sigh from the staff member. "It is indeed permissible. Which A-level task do you wish to undertake?" Su Yinzhou scanned the options and casually remarked, "The one that can be executed immediately." Jack interjected, "A-level tasks typically involve scenarios rife with vampire activity. Immediate execution is rarely feasible. One often has to stake out for over a week." Su Yinzhou immediately frowned. A week of stakeout? He had merely 10 hours left before he had to board the train. Wasn't it the case that A-level tasks were meant for him? Could it be that this station only permitted B-level tasks? Su Yinzhou began to entertain this notion. He sensed that sometimes these worlds harbored a certain hostility towards incoming train conductors. Whether in terms of operational scope or narrative progression, numerous impediments would arise. It felt akin to believing one was in a free exploration game, only to realize it was a meticulously guided, boxed-in map. Within this confined space, players could not wander aimlessly. Every path forward was preordained. Were there truly no tasks available for immediate execution? At this moment, the staff member spoke. "There is, in fact, an auction scheduled to commence in 4 hours, precisely 1 hour before dawn. It is rumored that wealthy merchants will attend, with items for auction including firearms, drugs, and young women. According to reliable intelligence, between 5 to 10 vampires are expected to be present at this auction." Chapter 128, The Esports Carriage. In 4 hours? Su Yinzhou stroked his chin thoughtfully. If it were indeed in 4 hours, that could work. He felt that upon completing this task, he could conveniently claim his reward and depart from the station. This seemed to be the most extreme scenario. The staff member reminded him, B-level tasks may require capturing prisoners, whereas A-level missions demand total annihilation without leaving any survivors. Understood, Su Yinzhou nodded. Soon after, another dilemma arose. In the next 4 hours, he and Zhang needed to find a place to stay. Although they could remain at the Demon Hunter Guild, it was evidently not the wisest choice. "Master, where shall we reside?" Zhang inquired. "Back on the train, of course." "Then why did you exchange for $10,000? Isn't that wasting 100 points?" Zhang questioned, his tone laced with confusion. Su Yinzhou exclaimed, "After toiling for so long, should I not indulge myself a little?" Zhang stared in astonishment, "My lord, are you really going to a brothel to listen to music? Can the women there compare to Fina? How absurd." As he spoke, Su Yinzhou led her into a computer mall. Moments later, he emerged empty-handed, having spent all $5,000, yet his backpack was filled with various gadgets. The two swiftly returned to the station. "My lord, shall I then return to my own station?" Zhang inquired. Su Yinzhou halted her, saying, "I've asked Fina to prepare some food, so you may stay on my train." Zhang, though silent, felt a surge of joy within. She understood that being allowed on the train signified at least a fundamental trust from her lord. "Boss, you're back." Fina greeted Su Yinzhou, then her gaze intensely fixed on Zhang, who followed behind. Hello," Zhang nodded at her. Fina's appearance was difficult to define. She could not be strictly categorized as either Western or Eastern, embodying a beauty that amalgamated traits from both realms. Such a confluence of beauty is rarely seen in reality. If one were to draw a comparison, it might be to Tifa. Yet, Fina and Tifa represented entirely different styles. Fina was gentle and delicate, a quintessential beauty of modesty, perhaps with a touch of cunning and a hint of darkness. "Boss, who is this sister?" Fina inquired. "Zhang, I believe I haven't mentioned her before." "She." Su Yinzhou recounted the matter of entrusting Zhang Jiao's daughter to Luo Ci. Fina nodded, her understanding deepening. This was a new member of the harem. She calculated silently. Aside from herself, there were already Shuang, Shui, Liuli, and Lilith. Well, the last one was a bit uncertain. Adding this Ning made her the 5th member of the harem. However, while the boss had flirtations with these women, there had been no further developments. Yet, Zhang Ning had now boarded the train. Fina felt a twinge of unease. Boss, why have we returned? Has this stop already concluded? Su Yunzhou shook his head. Far from it. However, the next 4 hours are a lull, and there is little we can accomplish. He then instructed, go prepare some dumplings. Let us have a late-night snack. All right. Zhang Ning immediately stood up. Sister Fina, let me assist you. Fina furrowed her brow. Was she really calling her sister? Nevertheless, upon seeing Zhang Ning's innocent gaze, so reminiscent of child, her spirits deflated. This girl truly knew nothing. With that thought, Fina took Zhang Ning's hand and led her to another temperature-controlled carriage. On Su Yunzhou's train, the separation of sleeping quarters and the living area was now established. The sleeping space was distinct, while the kitchen and dining area resided in another carriage, effectively preventing cooking fumes from infiltrating the bedrooms, thus facilitating Fina's efforts to maintain cleanliness. Su Yunzhou pondered for a moment before issuing a purchase request on the exchange. 15 energy crystals for one temperature-controlled cabin module. This price was exceedingly reasonable, considering the usual cost of such a module was 10 energy crystals. The inflated price stemmed from a supply shortage. However, one must not forget that energy crystals were essential resources. Without them, upgrades were nearly impossible. Instantly, a few individuals in the chatroom lamented, alas, I just sold mine for 11 energy crystals yesterday. What a loss. I sold one just a few days ago without any bids. I let it go for 10 energy crystals. Brother, you are driving up the prices. This temperature-controlled cabin isn't worth that much, is it? Clearly, someone is in a hurry. As soon as these words were uttered, Su Yunzhou interjected, limited time, 10 minutes. If it's not sold in 10 minutes, I shall withdraw my offer. He indeed wished to begin the arrangement immediately. But if there were no sellers, there was no rush. Glancing at the assortment of equipment he had already procured, a smile crept across his lips. What delight. It feels like I'm realizing a dream from my time on Blue Star. He intended to set up an esports room. However, he had underestimated the purchasing power of $10,000. In this world, he could assemble a top-tier desktop computer, complemented by an esports desk and chair, audio equipment, headphones, keyboard, and other peripherals, all for a total of $8,000. Of course, whether Su Yunzhou's actions, leveraging his status as a demon hunter to exert pressure, were justifiable is subjective. In truth, in this world as America, there existed racial nights as well. The moment those proprietors spotted Su Yunzhou's Asian visage, they prepared to treat him as a plump pig for slaughter. Yet, Su Yunzhou was amiable. He promptly displayed his demon hunter credentials, informing the proprietors, I suspect you are harboring vampires here. In doing so, he experienced a modicum of the joy that comes with being an FIB investigator in America. Let me check how much tax evasion you have. Returning to the matter at hand, someone indeed contacted him. Liu Yuding. Hello, I can sell you a temperature-controlled cabin. Su Yunzhou replied succinctly, let us finalize the deal quickly, no dilly-dallying. The seller did not say another word and promptly listed the item, finalizing the transaction with Su Yunzhou. Once more, Su Yunzhou acquired a temperature-controlled cabin module card. After casually applying a level up to the module card, he received the additional effect, temperature regulation within 1,035 degrees. Su Yunzhou chuckled. Why does it always yield this effect? He had already leveled up the other 2 temperature-controlled cabins, and they all shared the same effect of temperature regulation. Before long, a new temperature-controlled cabin was set up, connected to the rear of the bedroom compartment. Su Yunzhou immediately commenced with meticulous arrangements. Thanks to the spatial backpack, transporting computer equipment was a breeze, and assembly posed no challenge for him. The absence of an internet connection indeed poses challenges, yet fortunately, I procured a gaming hard drive. A comprehensive collection of single-player games. Oh, what a delight. After dedicating half an hour, the preliminary setup of the esports room was completed. What remained were merely aesthetic enhancements. I could start playing immediately. Chapter 129. The midnight auction. Su Yunzhou managed to exercise restraint. This leg of the journey was not yet concluded. With only a few hours remaining, indulging in games would surely be unfulfilling. He could wait until the train commenced its journey to fully immerse himself in play. Boss, dumplings are ready. Upon hearing Fina's call from the adjacent compartment, Su Yunzhou cast a final glance at the esports room he had arranged, nodding in satisfaction. Indeed, it looks marvelous. With a flick of his hand, he turned off the lights and departed. Suddenly, a pair of luminescent green eyes illuminated the dimly lit carriage. Hakimi had appeared, seemingly out of nowhere. Mew? A profound confusion filled its small head. Why was there a previously unseen territory here? It leaped onto the table, and upon seeing the glimmering LCD screen, an impulsive urge to push the object off the table surged within it. Yes, a brave little cat, acting on its whims. In the next moment, Hakimi's fur stood on end, sensing a fatal threat. Fina had stealthily emerged from the shadows behind it, observing intently. The saintly lady wore a gentle smile as she spoke. Hakimi, do quell those dangerous thoughts. You surely wouldn't want to be neutered at such a young age, would you? And without anesthesia, no less. Mew mew. Hakimi swiftly leaped off the table, fleeing in haste. Fina switched on the lights, surveying the new compartment. While she had become acquainted with some modern devices, computers and gaming consoles remained rather foreign to her. These must be the video game devices the boss mentioned, she mused. He had suggested a layout leaning towards leisure and entertainment. How should it be arranged? In the dim light, swaying beds, and a weary figure. Gazing out at the murky night, the burly man, Thorn, lit a cigar. A smoke afterward surpasses the bliss of the gods. Do not even think about calling the police. They cannot assist ghost hunters. Besides, you fresh recruits from Donda University lack the qualifications to challenge me. Rest assured, after tonight, it will be as if we have never crossed paths. Thorn puffed on his cigarette, talking to himself. In the corner of the bed, Huang Jinkai writhed in agony, his body trembling slightly. Inside, Huang Jinkai's heart wailed, a tumult of pain, regret, and humiliation brewing within his chest. Why did I agree to split up with them? If only I had been more decisive, I wouldn't have faced such circumstances. It's terrifying. I long to escape this place. The pain is unbearable, searing. However, despite the inner turmoil, Huang Jinkai dared not utter a sound. He timidly gazed at Thorn, not daring to utter a word, not even a sob, for he knew Thorn would strike him. This man, who prided himself on his gentleness, would not permit Huang Jinkai to weep. Thorn, whose name signifies thorns, embodies the notion of a sharp exterior safeguarding a tender core, a romantic and beautiful sentiment. Ah, boss, what do you mean by blood-soaked? Fina exclaimed, her eyes wide with disbelief as she stared at Su Yunzhou, convinced she had misheard. Of course, she had indeed misheard. Su Yunzhou raised an eyebrow. What? Steel door economics. A hex deck? Oh, I see. He then produced a map tablet assigned by the Demon Hunter Guild, which had already uploaded a specific location. This is the underground auction house, a distance of 15 kilometers. Let's set off half an hour early. By the way, the guild has also allocated us 2 invitations to the auction. Zhang Ning furrowed her brow. My lord, are we both to enter the auction? Su Yunzhou nodded, then shook his head. I will enter. You will guard the escape route. There is no need to block the main entrance. Dealing with vampires is not particularly challenging, but I fear innocents may be harmed. Just don't deduct my points. Zhang Ning's gaze hardened. What kind of decent people attend such auctions? Let us eliminate them all. Yet Su Yunzhou wore a bemused expression. Ah well, those are the bourgeoisie of American imperialism. Even if we slay 100, we might not unjustly kill one. All right, we should depart. Where's Hakimi? I'll just let him out for some fresh air, and he vanished. Su Yunzhou retrieved a pokeball. Come back. As he captured Hakimi within the ball, he led Zhang Ning on foot to the underground auction house. They conveniently procured masks, as such auctions necessitate concealed identities. Otherwise, it would be quite undignified. Reflecting on this, Su Yunzhou couldn't help but feel perplexed. It was already confirmed that vampires would be present at the auction, yet they could not apprehend them based on their identities. This intelligence felt oddly orchestrated, akin to a television network crafting a variety show designed for a showdown between demon hunters and vampires. Narrowing his eyes, he sensed something amiss with the Demon Hunter Guild. Zhang Ning, should a large-scale melee ensue, retreat immediately if you find yourself unable to contend. Do not linger in battle. Run back to the train. As long as there are no missile-level attacks, the train will be absolutely safe. Zhang Ning tilted her head. What is a missile? You'll find out shortly. Su Yunzhou flashed a smile reminiscent of a mighty king, both strained and relaxed. Clad in a splendid suit and wearing a mask, Su Yunzhou attended the auction. This gentleman, please present your invitation. Before the server could finish, Su Yunzhou displayed the invitation. You may enter. Upon stepping inside, he saw that indeed, Many participants were adorned with various masks. Interestingly, these masks concealed only the eyes and nose. If they were acquaintances, recognition would likely ensue. Ah, my dear friend, are you also attending this auction? Of course. I heard there is a young and beautiful maiden here to take a glance. Not just young. She is positively youthful. Ha ha ha. Two portly middle-aged men with jowls and bulging bellies engaged in this lewd banter, followed by their crass laughter. The surrounding crowd, accustomed to such antics, turned a blind eye. At that moment, a figure donned in a black goat mask approached Su Yunzhou. Dear guest, are there any auction items that pique your interest? Su Yunzhou replied in an exceedingly calm tone. None, merely here to browse. Is that so? The masked figure insinuated. I had assumed you were here to seize that exquisite blood bag. Su Yunzhou nodded, but refrained from further conversation. His gaze swept across the hall, noting approximately 40 to 50 auction participants and around 20 staff members. Soon, a statuesque beauty graced the stage. Welcome to the midnight auction, outside the underground auction venue. On the rooftop of a 5-story building, the scene was under constant surveillance. Honestly, why must we clean up after those two newcomers? Michaela expressed her irritation. Come now, Michaela. Jack urged. They possess extraordinary talent. It would be a shame if they perished here. Let us at least try to save them, he continued, his tone revealing concern. Despite the constant replenishment of hunters in recent years, casualties have become increasingly severe. I would hate for such promising recruits to meet their demise on their first day. Michaela scoffed, a path to self-destruction. Yet, she said no more and resumed her vigilant watch over the entrance. Inside the auction house, Su Yunzhou, clad in a mask, surveyed the surroundings with an indifferent gaze. The first auction item was presented on stage. He glanced briefly, his expression unchanging. It was a human being, skinned and suspended in a liquid-filled container, still exhibiting vital signs. A sight that would repulse any normal individual elicited applause from the attendees. Perfect. This is a truly exquisite decorative piece. To completely remove the skin while maintaining the underlying tissue intact. What remarkable craftsmanship. I wonder which master crafted this? Su Yunzhou stood in the shadows, observing the absurdity with a cool demeanor. It seemed all were deserving of their fate. This reassured me. Ultimately, the item was sold for a staggering 750,000. The alluring and flamboyant female host introduced the next auction item, which, once again, was a human. By certain features, Su Yunzhou could barely ascertain that it was a human female. However, the woman's body contorted grotesquely, her limbs assuming a bizarre and twisted posture. It appeared as though she had been forcibly crammed into a cubic container, her head and torso compressed and deformed, resembling a human-shaped cube. This is a premium square blood pack. It occupies minimal space, is readily accessible, and is remarkably durable. The beautiful host elaborated. Moreover, with the aid of cutting-edge technology, this blood pack boasts an astonishing lifespan of 13 months. Under such conditions, she could survive for no less than 13 months. Instantly, the auction attendees gasped in astonishment. 13 months. This is beyond my expectations. I never imagined humanity's technological prowess had ascended to such heights. This blood pack is not merely of high quality. This treasure, I must acquire at all costs. Meanwhile, Su Yunzhou, silently observing the proceedings, fell into a profound silence. At that moment, Zhang Ning, stationed at the escape exit, received a message from Su Yunzhou. Hello? Zhang Ning, please respond if you receive this. Zhang Ning pressed her Bluetooth earpiece. Received, this is Zhang Ning. Please give your orders. My lord. After a brief period of learning, Zhang Ning was now able to competently operate cutting-edge technology from the United States. She could handle basic devices such as mobile phones, maps, and earpieces with ease. She had also received training on train operation consoles, proving herself no mere novice like Wu Shuang. Therefore, she quickly acclimated to these electronic devices. My lord, what has transpired? There seems to be a discrepancy in the intel. The number of vampires at this auction is not merely 5 to 10. Zhang Ning's voice was laced with confusion. Su Yunzhou paused momentarily. All of them. Every individual at the auction is a vampire. My lord, are you also one of them? Of course not. I'm not present at the auction. A large question mark appeared over Zhang Ning's small head. Enough chatter. Block the escape exit. Only that exit remains uncertain. I will handle the others. At this moment, standing on a platform a kilometer away from the auction, Su Yunzhou wore a sinister smile. Behind him, the Dongfeng Cruise Missile Artillery II had been fully deployed. Let me execute a precise operation. There are still some residential areas nearby, and I must ensure that all missiles strike the auction house with pinpoint accuracy, Su Yunzhou murmured, glancing at a rooftop terrace not far away. At the same time, Jack and Michaela were equally astonished. Just moments ago, a staff member had urgently notified them. Do not concern yourselves with those two newcomers. The intel is false. The auction is filled with vampires. It is a high-stakes auction specifically organized by vampires. They deliberately released false information. This is a trap for vampire hunters. Jack and Michaela exchanged shocked and bewildered glances. Jack sighed in resignation. What a pity. Su Yunzhou has already been inside for half an hour. He is likely Michaela. We must return. Wait just a little longer. In Michaela's heart, she too felt the peril that Su Yunzhou was facing. Yet, she was unwilling to yield. Today, she must witness for herself what audacity this group of vampires possessed, daring to gather in such numbers. Was New York still the domain of humanity? However, the communication channel crackled anew with a warning. Do not linger there. The vampires are too numerous. Should you expose yourselves, escape would be an impossibility. A sharp sound pierced the stillness of the night. Soon, a series of similar sounds followed in quick succession. What was that noise? Michaela's instincts kicked in. Jack had already turned his gaze toward the source of the sound. In the darkness, the missiles were not easily discernible. But the crimson trails left behind were unmistakable to the two of them. What is that? A meteor? No, it's a missile. Michaela's reflexes were notably sharper. She swiftly tackled Jack to the ground, seeking shelter. Michaela, stay calm. The trajectory ISNT aimed at us. Jack shouted urgently. They cautiously peered out, witnessing a scene that would be etched in their memories forever. Against the backdrop of night, a dozen missiles streaked across the sky, crashing into a building, sending debris and flames soaring into the air. That very structure was the auction house they had just been surveilling. Moments earlier, as the second item was sold, the enchanting host announced, "Next, we shall unveil our third auction item." However, there was nothing on the auction stage. The crowd murmured in confusion. What is the third item? Air? A lewd voice chimed in. It can't possibly be the host herself, right? Hey, hey, hey. The host. Not want to tease the audience. Continued. Today's auction is exceptionally fortunate, as we have a human in attendance. Moreover, a demon hunter. Upon hearing this, the vampires were taken aback. Before the crowd could erupt into chaos, the host swiftly added, "Regrettably, we had planned to ensnare at least 5 demon hunters, but only one has graced this auction with their presence. This third item is none other than this demon hunter. Whoever can subdue this hunter first shall claim them as their own." In the next moment, a spotlight illuminated Su Yunzhou, drawing countless gazes from the vampires, each gaze filled with desire, rage, hatred, and fear. A demon hunter, daring to infiltrate the lair of vampires? I have yet to taste the blood of a demon hunter. Don't fight over her. A pale arm, adorned with claws, lunged violently, piercing Su Yunzhou's heart. In an instant, a gaping hole was left in its wake. No blood, no organs, nothing but emptiness. Chapter 131. Completing the A-class mission, Su Yunzhou gazed at the missiles streaking across the horizon, sighing in resignation. Alas, my long-in-use paper doll. Who would have thought your return would be a final farewell? As Su Yunzhou's strength grew, he seldom relied on paper figures. The reason was simple. The intensity of battles had escalated significantly. It was all too easy for the paper figures to be utterly destroyed. While minor damages like tears or broken limbs could be patched with sturdy cardboard, being shredded by a paper shredder or reduced to ashes by fire would render them irreparable. This led Su Yunzhou to cherish the paper figures even more. However, this time, he was compelled to summon one into action, knowing it was likely to meet its end. Even a single missile strike on the building could level it to the ground. Yet, considering the physical resilience of the vampire clan, he opted for a cautious approach. He launched 16 missiles, leaving 8 in reserve, a gesture of respect towards the vampire lineage, as he mused. The first explosion erupted, awakening all the nearby citizens. Simultaneously, the entrance of the auction house collapsed, claiming the lives of the attendants and security personnel on duty. With several more missiles fired, Su Yunzhou targeted every entrance of the structure. Of course, his aim could not be perfectly precise. However, it was worth noting that the cruise missiles were equipped with real-time navigational screens. Like maneuvering a drone, He guided each missile with meticulous precision. The bombardment concluded within a mere couple of minutes, leaving the surrounding residents in a state of shock, struggling to comprehend what had just transpired. Zhang Ning was equally bewildered. What sorcery was this? Could it be that their lord was the true heir of the Yellow Turbans? The genuine successor of the Taiping Heavenly Book? Zhang Ning shouted over the communication channel, "My lord, what if you hit me with those missiles?" "Fear not," came the reply. "As long as you remain calm and do not run about, you will be safe. Each missile is manually controlled. There is no way I could accidentally harm our allies. Remember to guard the emergency exit. Though it has also been compromised, it remains the only potential escape route. The materials used for the emergency exit are sturdier, preventing complete collapse. If the vampires use their brute strength, it is conceivable they might carve out a passage. The other routes, however, are utterly impassable, having collapsed in disarray. Jack swiftly informed the guild. Dispatch personnel to coordinate with the police and military to secure the area. Michaela shouted as she rushed downstairs. As a demon hunter, her priority was to ensure the safety of the surrounding residents. Jack, still reeling from the shock of the explosions, quickly regained his composure and reported to the guild. In response to such a terrifying attack, the U.S. police acted swiftly. Within half an hour, a perimeter had been established around the auction house, prohibiting unauthorized individuals from approaching. Sheriff Blake, as the head of the New York Police Department, was well acquainted with Jack, the seasoned demon hunter. Blake was certainly acquainted with Jack. Following a tacit embrace, their gazes turned to the desolate ruins that lay before them. "Sheriff Blake, have you commenced the investigation of the scene?" Sheriff Blake, a man in his 50s with a mix of black and gray hair, still possessed a robust physique and a resolute countenance. He nodded. "Indeed, Jack. However, I seek to ascertain who is responsible. Are all involved vampires?" Blake's tone turned stern. "We are aware that vampire hunters prioritize the extermination of vampires, and if civilians are inadvertently harmed during this process, they face no repercussions. Yet, this is predicated on the notion of accidental harm. Such a scale of missile bombardment cannot possibly be deemed accidental." Jack responded promptly. "Yes, this structure was teeming with vampires." Blake's expression shifted to one of shock. At that moment, two A-class teams, totaling 10 members, dispatched by the Vampire Hunters Guild, rushed to the scene. What had transpired? Leading the charge was Alec, one of the rare S-class hunters within the New York Vampire Hunters Guild. Alec was slight of build, with sunken cheeks that gave him the appearance of a strung-out addict. However, the hunters knew that this was merely the consequence of his overwhelming combat prowess, which had taken a toll on his vitality. Alec, accompanied by his fellow hunters, swiftly sought to grasp the situation. What on earth happened? Heavy artillery against vampires? Whose absurd idea was this? Jack's expression was one of despair. "I, too, am uncertain of the circumstances. Logically, heavy weaponry is ineffective against vampires, yet it appears that many have perished beneath this wreckage." "Fools!" Alec's tone was harsh. Yet, he quickly composed himself. "I apologize for my outburst. I have grasped the situation here. Please locate hunters Su and Zhang immediately. I wish to speak with them." Jack acknowledged the order understood. Meanwhile, Zhang Ning sighed. "My lord, I have awaited the arrival of that group, yet I have not seen a single vampire emerge." Su Yinzhou and Zhang Ning had since returned to the Vampire Hunters Guild. He chuckled. "Isn't it fortuitous? It spares you from the ordeal of battle. But that means I feel utterly useless." Su Yinzhou shook his head with a smile. "You are still too weak, my dear. Keep striving." At that moment, a staff member leaned out from the service window, announcing, "I have confirmed your task completion status, but..." Su Yinzhou raised an eyebrow. "Just transfer the points directly. No need to dawdle." The staff member's expression became awkward. "It appears you may have violated the regulations regarding heavy weaponry. Is it prohibited?" The staff member replied, "You must understand that heavy weaponry has a minimal effect on vampires, but can lead to civilian casualties and damage to public property. The guild strictly forbids their use." Su Yunzhou raised two fingers. "First, did I not eliminate the vampires at the auction? Second, did I harm any innocent civilians?" This predicament is indeed a source of great frustration for the staff. He cannot fathom why it is stated that heavy firepower is ineffective against vampires. Yet subsequent investigations reveal that all of those vampires perished without exception. Even more perplexing to him is how Su Yunzhou managed such precision. 16 missiles were launched, all striking the auction house, while the surrounding structures remained untouched. Granted the points. At that moment, a slender, tall Caucasian man entered the Demon Hunter Guild through the main door. He cast a profound gaze at Su Yunzhou and addressed the staff. For this A-rank mission, consider it completed with excellence. The staff immediately nodded. Understood, Captain Alec. Alec's gaze met Su Yunzhou's. You're Su Yunzhou, correct? May we have a conversation? Chapter 132. Deep Organizations in America. As an S-rank demon hunter, Alec naturally possessed his own office. He led Su Yunzhou into the office and, with a gentle smile, invited him to sit. Su Yunzhou, with a nonchalant demeanor, settled into the sofa. Alec continued. We discovered a paper effigy amidst the ruins of the auction house. Although it was significantly damaged, we could still discern that it resembled you. Su, could you enlighten me as to why a paper effigy of your likeness would appear at the auction house? One might speculate that this group of vampires harbored peculiar tastes. Alec shook his head. Witnesses saw you enter the auction, yet none observed your exit. How is it that you appeared elsewhere, leaving only a paper effigy behind in the auction house? Su Yunzhou furrowed his brow in contemplation, carefully choosing his words. Are you familiar with superheroes? What superheroes? What nonsense? Su Yunzhou shook his head. Not Spider-Man. I am. In fact, Paperman. Alec's brow knitted tighter. My superpower allows me to resurrect paper effigies, granting them a semblance of life. Alec's expression grew even more serious. If you doubt me, provide me with that paper effigy and assist me in procuring around 10 kilograms of sturdy cardboard. Despite feeling a mix of skepticism and anger towards Su Yunzhou, Alec ultimately nodded. He sensed that Su Yunzhou was toying with him, yet he lacked any evidence. Alec felt a flicker of irritation. He had initially intended to offer this newcomer a word of caution about surviving in New York as a demon hunter from Dongda University. However, upon reflection, he deemed such an arrogant and deceitful individual unworthy of his guidance or assistance. Alec held a significant position within the Demon Hunter Guild. Soon enough, a staff member brought in the paper effigy, along with 10 kilograms of compressed cardboard. Su Yunzhou examined the somewhat battered effigy, noting that its head and torso remained intact. He reclaimed ownership of the effigy. How remarkable that this entity had not met its demise. Although the limbs were thoroughly crushed, the head was unscathed, and the torso had only a perforation at the chest. Theoretically, it could still be repaired. Su Yunzhou initially believed that he needed to return to the train to effect repairs. However, it soon became apparent that this was unnecessary. Should 93 kilograms be consumed to repair the paper figure? Repair. Su Yunzhou silently contemplated. Subsequently, the cardboard within the box was swiftly consumed, and the body of the paper figure began to slowly restore itself. A faint white light enveloped the paper figure, though not blinding. It obscured the scene within the luminous aura. At this moment, Alec's gaze was filled with astonishment as he fixated on the radiant form encasing the paper figure. Magic? Impossible. Could it truly be a spell from the esteemed Eastern University? I have heard that there are practitioners there capable of flying on swords and wielding wondrous sorcery. Alec suppressed his astonishment and silently observed the unfolding scene. In a short span of 5 or 6 minutes, the restoration of Su Yunzhou's paper figure was complete. Once fully restored, the paper figure bore an uncanny resemblance to Su Yunzhou himself. How could this be possible? Alec exclaimed in disbelief. Yet, what stunned him further was yet to come. The paper figure began to stir. In a tone devoid of emotion, it addressed him. Alec, the ghost hunter, you should now believe me. Glancing between the paper figure and the living Su Yunzhou, Alec remained silent for a moment before nodding. I understand now. You indeed possess extraordinary abilities. Alec straightened his posture, speaking earnestly. You have not deceived me. You are indeed a person of justice. Therefore, I must advise you to leave New York immediately at dawn. Your use of heavy weaponry and the successful slaying of so many vampires make it certain that your continued presence in New York would lead to your demise. Su Yunzhou shrugged. Very well, I have come to a realization. Since I intend to depart, could you divulge the secrets of this place to me? Alec nodded. Ask away. Why is it forbidden for ghost hunters to employ heavy firepower against vampires? Alec maintained his composure, yet provided an answer that raised eyebrows. Because we cannot eradicate the vampires. The mission of the Ghost Hunter Guild is to restrain the excessive proliferation of vampires, not to annihilate every last one. Zhang Ning, standing nearby, furrowed her brow. I cannot comprehend. Is it truly possible for vampires and humans to coexist? Alec shook his head, indicating that it was not feasible. Zhang Ning, perplexed, queried. Then why is it that the higher-ups, those upper echelons, prohibit you from exterminating the vampires? Su Yunzhou interjected quietly. And why is that? Although Zhang Ning was aware of the adage regarding carnivores, she still could not grasp the rationale. What reason could these upper echelons possess to tolerate the existence of humanity's mortal enemies? Su Yunzhou continued to elucidate, presenting a weighty revelation. Because among the upper echelons of humanity, there exist many vampires, do they not? He glanced at Alec, who remained silent for a considerable time before nodding in agreement. Indeed, you are correct. The vampire clan possesses an enduring lifespan. Should an exceptionally intelligent and patient vampire emerge, he could ascend to the pinnacle of human power over a protracted period. Although the apparent rulers of America are human, there exists a profound organization that can manipulate the electoral process. The numerous vampires you have slain today are intricately connected to this deep organization. They have already taken notice of you. At this point, Alec paused, stating, I cannot divulge more. Tomorrow, you must depart New York and travel by air from another state back to East University. Avoid flights from New York, as unexpected incidents are highly probable. Su Yunzhou maintained a calm demeanor. Then let us proceed to redeem our points. Alec nodded. Hurry along. The two exited the office and swiftly returned to the staff window. Su Yunzhou promptly exclaimed, Point redemption, quickly. The staff member said little, retrieving a tablet and handing it to Su Yunzhou. Soon, Su Yunzhou pinpointed an item. Reinforcement potion V-type, 300 points. He had already perused all the items available for redemption and concluded that this potion was the most valuable. Roughly estimated, it could enhance Su Yunzhou's attributes by a total of 1525 points. With his current points totaling 1600, should he redeem the entire amount for this potion? Just as he contemplated this, he noticed additional words behind the potion, limited to 2 bottles. What trick you are playing on me? Su Yunzhou glared at the staff member. The staff member, looking innocent, replied, This procedure is controlled in real time by the back end. It is beyond my purview. Chapter 133. Ambushed, Su Yunzhou narrowed his eyes. Very well. He did not press the young staff member further, for he soon discovered another item. Blue treasure chest, 500 points, limited to 2. Su Yunzhou raised an eyebrow, thinking to himself, I had assumed that in a world already providing me with an identity, no one would discern my position as the conductor. It appears there are indeed those capable of perceiving high-ranking entities. Murmuring softly, Su Yunzhou exchanged his 1600 points for 2 blue treasure chests and 2 reinforcement potions. After completing the transaction on the tablet, he waited approximately half an hour before receiving these 4 items. Quickly stowing them in his backpack, he grasped Zhang Ning's hand and hastily departed. Returning to the location of the train, My lord, why are you in such a hurry? Zhang Ning inquired, puzzled. Someone has already discovered our presence. Su Yunzhou replied succinctly, choosing the most populated route. However, it was precisely the moment when the sun had just risen, marking the time when the streets were least crowded. As night creatures took their rest and the day dwellers had yet to emerge, a sudden turn down a street heralded chaos. With a deafening roar, an explosion erupted, thrusting Su Yunzhou and Zhang Ning into the air. Barrier talisman. Zhang Ning swiftly cast 2 talismans, enveloping both himself and Su Yunzhou in a pale blue shield. Su Yunzhou remained remarkably composed, jesting, Your talisman's design seems somewhat off. This pale blue light shield typically belongs to a futuristic aesthetic. Yet here it was, activated by the talismans and shielding them both. Zhang Ning chuckled. That's because I used free special effect materials. This prompted Su Yunzhou to recall the budget version of Dynasty Warriors 5 crafted by Zwi. Despite their banter, the gravity of their situation was far from optimistic. While Su Yunzhou maintained a semblance of hope, Zhang Ning's demeanor suggested otherwise. They found themselves in the middle of a narrow street, encircled by 2 opposing factions. Had it only been a mere 15 minutes since they departed the Demon Hunter Guild, their eagerness to confront the duo was palpable. Surrounding them were a cadre of vampires, all armed to the teeth with an array of firearms, from simple handguns to shotguns, assault rifles, and submachine guns, evoking the image of an American mob. Leading the charge was a vampire clad in a suit and sunglasses, his voice a venomous growl. Damn hunters! How dare you slay my progeny, brothers? Today we shall ensure these unruly miscreants meet a fate worse than death. Open fire. Su Yunzhou contemplated various escape routes. His celestial mirror armor could render him intangible when facing death, allowing him to slip away from the encirclement with ease. Should that fail, he could activate his blood pact with Fina, instantly retreating to the safety of the train. But what of Zhang Ning? Thus, Su Yunzhou's decision was to first summon Hakimi. Mew. As a torrent of bullets rained down upon them, Hakimi let out a terrified cry, rapidly expanding into the form of a Spinosaurus. In the next moment, a hail of bullets struck the immense black cat, which now occupied the entire street, simultaneously intimidating the vampires. What manner of beast is this? How can such a colossal cat exist? Boss, what do we do? I'm out. I'm going home. I just remembered the leaves I left out to dry. In an instant, the vampires, upon beholding the black cat, were overtaken by fear. The vampires, with their extended lifespans, bore a heightened dread of mortality, and their emotions were often more apathetic, lacking the fervor of unwavering loyalty. Damn it, it's just a cat. A cat 100 times larger, but still just a cat. What is there to fear? Fire at me. I doubt it can withstand the bullets. Hakimi managed to fend off one side of the onslaught. Yet Su Yunzhou and Zhang Ning were still confronted by attacks from the other side. My lord, Zhang Ning shouted. Su Yunzhou had already dashed forward. Do not fear. Just provide me with support. With the enchanted blade unleashed, the agile Su Yunzhou surged ahead. The presence of the black cat instilled a modicum of fear in the vampires, causing them to instinctively unleash their firepower. Yet they failed to inflict any harm upon Su Yunzhou. Heavenly Mirror Armor 2, Effect 3. Mirror Shield, an active skill that generates a mirror-like shield, akin to an eggshell, enveloping your entire body while allowing normal movement. Unless subjected to damage capable of obliterating the equipment, the shield remains unscathed and reflects all ranged attacks. Cooldown, 3 hours. Bullets were deflected, striking several vampires instead. Damn it. Who hit me? Stop shooting. Stop shooting. That strange aura around him reflects bullets. Retreat, or we shall all perish here. Just as the vampire uttered these words, Su Yunzhou unleashed a strike with his enchanted blade. Dreaming Techniques, 7th form. 4th technique, Whirlwind Slash. This strike was a blend of sweeping and lifting motions. Su Yunzhou spun, executing a low horizontal slash while simultaneously thrusting the blade upward. The enchanted blade released a formidable force, producing a 5-meter arc of energy, cutting through the air with the might to cleave mountains, aimed at the vampires. The vampires at the forefront were swiftly bisected. However, their wounds were not clean. They resembled those inflicted by a chainsaw, leaving a gruesome mess. The agony from such injuries was magnitudes greater than from clean cut. In an instant, the air was filled with wails of despair. The vampires on Su Yunzhou's side suffered a loss of 1/4 of their ranks, while the remaining 3/4 lost their will to fight and fled in terror. Zhang Ning. Su Yunzhou turned to see Zhang Ning had been struck multiple times amidst the hail of bullets and lay crumpled on the ground. The defensive power of the protective talisman was remarkable, capable of blocking 1 or 2 bullets, but could not withstand a barrage. Zhang Ning gritted his teeth, disregarding his wounds, forcing himself to sit up. My lord, you must flee. I do not wish to be a burden. Understood, Su Yunzhou replied decisively. Zhang Ning was taken aback by his unwavering resolve. In the next moment, Su Yunzhou leapt over the 3 to 4 meter high black cat, landing on the other side. He had already expended 1/3 of his energy with that last strike, and he typically refrained from using his full strength. Thus, he sheathed the enchanted blade and drew forth Mark B. Dual Pistols 1. Let the storm commence. Effect 3. Active skill, Rotating Barrage. Unleashing a barrage upon all enemies within a circular radius. Cooldown, 12 hours. Chapter 134. The Orange Tide Flourishes. The streets lay strewn with corpses. Conventional firearms are indeed ineffectual against vampires, requiring a barrage of shots aimed at the heart and head to secure a kill. However, the gorgeous barrage is no ordinary weapon. In this onslaught, most vampires were reduced to mere remnants, devoid of intact bodies. A few resilient vampires, though they had lost half their forms, still managed to twitch their heads. Naturally, Su Yunzhou wielded dual pistols, delivering the final blows with precision. Who are you? Croaked a vampire, its lower half obliterated, struggling to utter the question with its last breath. Su Yunzhou aimed at its forehead, stating, My identity will be revealed by the dual guns. With a resounding bang. Moments later, Hakimi reverted from its spiny dragon form to a non-spiny state. Su Yunzhou assessed the situation, feeling a pang of disappointment. Such ordinary bullets can still take down 3 lives? Useless Hakimi, all you do is puff and huff. Meow. The cat, oblivious to the turmoil, remained indifferent to such matters. Subsequently, Su Yunzhou approached Zhang Ning, who lay on the ground. My lord, am I close to death? Su Yunzhou raised an eyebrow. Shall I summon an ambulance for you? Zhang Ning exclaimed, huh? Suddenly, a mechanical dog sprinted from a distance, racing towards Su Yunzhou, then crouched down to reveal the item on its back. A blue treasure chest. Su Yunzhou affectionately petted the dog as head. Well done. However, his expression soon turned grave. Wankai switched to emergency stretcher mode. The mechanical frame behind Wankai swiftly unfolded into a wheeled stretcher, powered by its own mechanisms, requiring no manual assistance. As a super mechanical dog from the Paw Patrol, Wankai could accomplish nearly everything, save for combat. But I advise you to dismiss any peculiar thoughts. Carefully, Su Yunzhou lifted Zhang Ning onto the stretcher, and they hastily returned to the train. The streets were nearly barricaded by bodies, albeit all belonging to vampires. Yet, once the police and the Vampire Hunter Guild arrived, Su Yunzhou would undoubtedly face a torrent of troubles. Moreover, he could not ascertain whether further enemies lurked nearby. A classic trope of online literature, having dispatched the minor foes, greater ones emerge, an unending lineage of adversaries. Upon returning to his train with Zhang Ning, Fina noticed the bloodied figure of Zhang Ning, her heart racing as she quickly cleared space. After laying Zhang Ning down from the stretcher, Su Yunzhou turned to Fina. As a former saint of the breeding church, you must possess some healing magic, right? Fina instinctively replied, should I prioritize the major or the minor? Su Yunzhou, exasperated, retorted, what do you mean by major or minor? She has been shot. Do you understand? Fina nodded. Gun? Bullet? Afterwards, she appeared somewhat flustered. I understand how to treat injuries from magical projectiles and arrows, but bullets operate on a different principle, don't they? Though the underlying principle is indeed the same, she had never practiced in a real-world scenario. Fina's hands trembled with trepidation. She feared that a mistake on her part could lead to Zhang Ning's demise. This fear was entirely normal, especially for someone like Fina, who had never possessed a strong will. In her childhood, she complied with whatever the church instructed her to do, and later, she followed Su Yunzhou's every command. Now, however, she bore the weight of a young woman's life upon her shoulders. Observing her state, Su Yunzhou recognized that further pressure would be counterproductive. He reassured her, do not panic. I have already staunched her bleeding, and there should be no immediate concerns. For now, summon Lilith. After all, this homebody demoness spent her days either online or reading, occasionally indulging in other activities when a mood struck. In this critical moment, it was imperative to call upon her for assistance. All right. Returning to her area of expertise, Fina demonstrated remarkable decisiveness and swiftness, completing the summoning circle and incantation in mere minutes. Lilith appeared, yawning as she regarded the trio. Although my physical prowess surpasses that of ordinary mortals, I cannot endure such commotion from you all. The centuries-old white-haired lowly grumbled. Fina, nearly in tears, pleaded, Lady Lilith, please help us. She is injured. It's life-threatening. Her feelings for Zhang Ning were not particularly profound. Yet the thought of an innocent life being lost due to her lack of medical skill filled her with desperation. I am indeed magnificent. No further words are necessary. Lilith remarked as she assessed Zhang Ning's injuries, a look of puzzlement crossing her petite face. Can such wounds truly be fatal? After a moment, she continued, I would prefer not to utilize my powers in such desolation. However, if Fina follows my instructions, healing her should be rather straightforward. But Su Yunzhou, you know that demons engage only in transactions, not charity. Su Yunzhou nodded in agreement. State your terms. Lilith turned her gaze toward Fina from now on. Do not allow Fina to summon any other evil deities. Of course, I refer specifically to evil gods. Angels, spirit beings, divine entities, undead, and bodhisattvas are all acceptable. Yet, it seemed that Fina could only summon evil deities. Su Yunzhou then proposed, how about this? In the future, if Fina wishes to summon any other evil deities, I will first consult you. Lilith pondered for a moment before nodding in agreement. She then gently patted Fina's shoulder. Relax. Your mastery over magical control is exceptional. and this will pose no difficulty for you. Immediately after, she shot a fierce glare at Su Yunzhou, though on her lowly visage, it resembled more of a playful pout. Aren't you going to another compartment? Do you wish to linger here? I'm going, he replied. Su Yunzhou felt that remaining here might impose unnecessary pressure on Fina. Resolutely, he took Hakimi and hurried to the esports room, uncertain of how long it would take. He contemplated playing Civilization 6. 10 minutes later, from 2 compartments away, he heard Zhang Ning's anguished cries. 20 minutes later, the cries morphed into exhausted gasps. After 40 minutes, the sounds diminished, leaving only faint moans. An hour later, silence reigned supreme. Upon returning to the sleeping car, Su Yunzhou found Lilith sprawled on the sofa like a sloth, while Fina diligently massaged her legs. The two seemed to be in high spirits. Su Yunzhou furrowed his brow and inquired, "Where's Zhang Ning?" Fina gestured towards the bed, explaining that after alleviating his pain, he had succumbed to fatigue and fallen asleep. Su Yunzhou pressed further, "And what are you doing?" The Saintess's eyes sparkled with excitement. "Thanks to Master Lilith's guidance, I've decided to take her as my mentor." Lilith adopted a sage-like expression, replying, "Very well, my disciple." A sudden thought struck Su Yunzhou regarding Lilith's earlier words. Something related to wood and water? Goodness, Fina Angelo. He sighed, "Do as you wish. Having an evil deity as a mentor could be rather beneficial." Chapter 135, The Assault on the Troops. As the sun rose, a new day dawned for the citizens of New York. The homeless mingled with the leaves, and chaos erupted in a macabre scene. The streets were strewn with the corpses of vampires, already cleared away, yet the stench of blood lingered ominously. That morning, Huang Jinkai was returned to the Demon Hunter Guild by Thorn and successfully registered as a hunter. He casually accepted a C-grade mission, but lacked the motivation to complete it, yearning only to return to the train for rest. He was utterly exhausted, both mentally and physically. Upon reaching the station, Huang Jinkai wore a grim expression as he cast a glance at the train occupied by Su Yunzhou and Zhang Ning. The window had activated its privacy shield, obscuring the scene within. If only he had known, if only he had joined them. Regret consumed him. Just moments ago at the guild, he had overheard discussions about Su Yunzhou and Zhang Ning. Within a few short hours, they had completed a B-grade and an A-grade mission, amassing over 1,000 points. Had he accompanied them, he surely would have shared in their bounty. Yet now he found himself devoid of points in his body. With a heart-wrenching cry, Huang Jinkai returned to the train, finally allowing his suppressed emotions to spill forth. However, suffering has never shown mercy. Inside Su Yunzhou's train, Zhang Ning rested on the bed, leaving him to sit on the sofa with Lilith and Fina. As he pondered, an unsettling premonition surged within him, prompting him to swiftly direct his gaze outside the window. With the assistance of the Hawkeye equipment, Su Yunzhou possessed extraordinary vision, enabling him to clearly discern the events unfolding not far away. A fully armed American military unit was being transported by armored vehicles, accompanied by several attack helicopters. Su Yunzhou's brow twitched in disbelief. Surely, this could not be true. Lilith turned to him, inquiring, "What is it?" "Enemies, numerous enemies, exceedingly formidable," he replied. Although Su Yunzhou was equipped with sufficient offensive capabilities and believed he could vanquish all these foes, the crux of the matter lay in the inadequacy of his train's defenses. If the adversary insisted on bombarding his train with rocket launchers, the situation would become quite dire. At that moment, Su Yunzhou recalled the effect of his title. Ruthless advancement. Perfect. Effect. You may depart from the platform up to 3 hours in advance, commencing your journey immediately. He realized that prior to reaching level 10, he was unable to allocate points to skills or titles, as he could not perceive them. He could only view his skills and titles through the respective panels. However, upon reaching level 10, or rather, after consuming the creation elixir, he attained a form of inner vision. This inner sight was rudimentary, allowing him to glimpse only his special abilities, skills, titles, and even talents could now be discerned. In fact, Su Yunzhou had already allocated points to several of his skills. He had attempted to allocate points to Ruthless Advancement 1, but that endeavor had failed due to insufficient energy. At this juncture, he finally remembered a title skill he had not utilized in quite some time. Departing early. Ruthless Advancement 1. Type. Title quality. Perfect effect. You may depart from the platform up to 10 hours in advance, commencing your journey immediately. Description. Only the brain is required. The initial 3-hour advance had now been extended to 10 hours. At this moment, Fina interjected, "What about Zhang Ning's train? Will she be in danger without it?" Su Yunzhou fell silent, aware that the train conductor's abandonment of the train should not pose a problem as long as she had another train aboard. However, this would significantly diminish Zhang Ning's value. Moreover, upon awakening, she might not only fail to express gratitude, but could also harbor resentment towards Su Yunzhou. The reasoning was clear. Some individuals would rather forsake their lives than relinquish their power. Zhang Ning was precisely such a person. She would undoubtedly resist becoming Su Yunzhou's maid. Akin to Fina, Su Yunzhou spoke softly, "We will return her to the train. Whether she survives or not will depend on her own fortune." Fina immediately retorted, "Isn't that tantamount to sending her to her death? Do those people not realize that you and Zhang Ning are allies?" Su Yunzhou regarded Fina with mild surprise. He understood her character well. This young girl would become flustered and indecisive when confronted with insurmountable challenges. However, if she finds a way to resolve the situation, she becomes remarkably decisive, earnest, and self-assured. "Do you have any solutions?" Fina inquired with intense focus. "The blood pact." Moments later, not long after falling asleep, a weary Zhang Ning was roused. Initially bewildered, her gaze gradually sharpened as she fixed her eyes on Fina. "Sister Fina, what is the matter?" Fina spoke with rapid urgency, relaying the current predicament to Zhang Ning. As anticipated by Su Yunzhou, Zhang Ning immediately expressed her determination to return to her train. Even in the face of death, she would not relinquish her train, for it represented her hope for empowerment. At that moment, a battalion had arrived at the station, a formidable force disembarking from armored vehicles, trained and disciplined. In the next instant, several 1-meter diameter blades shot forth from either side of the train, spinning at high velocity, sweeping through like a tempest. The American soldiers who had just disembarked were caught off guard, many falling victim to the onslaught. Meanwhile, their commander had only just begun issuing commands. "Attention to those aboard the train, surrender immediately, or we will initiate heavy fire. Please disembark and surrender at once." Inside the train's control room, Su Yunzhou observed the unfolding chaos with an impassive demeanor. As dozens of soldiers were swiftly dispatched, the enemy wasted no time unleashing a barrage of bullets upon Su Yunzhou's train. However, despite lacking any defensive modules, it was still a level 4 train. Its defenses were formidable. Ordinary firearms could not breach them, requiring the precision of a sniper rifle. Conversely, Huang Jingkai and Zhang Ning's train was not as fortunate, sustaining multiple bullet holes. Zhang Ning's train was unoccupied, thus it was of little consequence. These bullets could not obliterate the train unless they fortuitously struck the power core. Yet, Huang Jingkai was not so lucky. He was horrified to discover bullets whizzing past him, both in front and behind. What is happening? Confusion enveloped him. Just as he returned to the train, he encountered the relentless fire from American soldiers, leaving anyone bewildered. He heard the announcement to disembark and surrender. But amidst such a hail of bullets, how could he dare to exit? Was that not akin to courting death? Huang Jingkai could only seek refuge in a sheltered spot, curled up in fear, tears streaming down his face. Why? Why is this happening? Meanwhile, Su Yunzhou keenly observed a squad of commandos attempting to stealthily approach from the rear of the train. He activated the attack module, Sonic Shockwave. In another part of the scene, Fina's blood pact was proceeding methodically. She meticulously conveyed the effects of the pact to Zhang Ning. This would bind Zhang Ning entirely to Su Yunzhou, simultaneously granting Su Yunzhou ownership of Zhang Ning's train. This was not merely a subordinate train. The relationship was akin to that of a proprietor and an employee. Breach of contract naturally incurs penalties, yet it does not pose a threat to life. However, the blood pact is a true embodiment of enslavement. After all, it is a sinister art of blood magic developed by the chosen of the malevolent deity. Of course, Fina's exploration of this dark sorcery was merely a moment of inspiration. She never envisioned employing this ability to assist Su Yunzhou in capturing female slaves. In the current situation, although the blood pact has stripped Zhang Ning of her personal freedom, it has also preserved her life. After weighing the pros and cons, Zhang Ning chose to acquiesce. Lilith, throughout the ordeal, observed with an expression of amusement. "Ning, how do you feel?" Fina inquired, lifting her gaze. Zhang Ning bit her lip, seemingly enduring some discomfort, and replied, "It feels a bit like a burning sensation. Thankfully, it isn't too painful." Fina nodded, and continued to inscribe the blood pact upon her lower abdomen. The fundamental forms of a contract manifest in three ways: written, verbal, and through formations. The peculiar mark etched onto the skin is, in essence, a type of formation. All right, the blood pact has been inscribed. Next comes the blood signature. Fina summoned Su Yunzhou. She grasped one of his fingers and gently bit it with her sharp canines, causing a droplet of blood to emerge from the tip. Fina applied the blood droplet to the blood pact. Zhang Ning distinctly felt the distance between her and Su Yunzhou diminish considerably. Simultaneously, Su Yunzhou sensed Zhang Ning's burgeoning strength. Instantly, he focused his thoughts and shared the effects of his title with Zhang Ning. The train is ready to depart. The American soldiers, still reeling from the sonic assault, had yet to regain their bearings when they witnessed the train majestically speeding away into the distance. One soldier reported to his commander, "Sir, should we pursue them? Their train is not moving quickly." The commander barked, "Fool, there is but one track. We can simply send someone ahead to dismantle it." The soldier's eyes sparkled with realization. "Brilliant, sir. By the way, there is another train that hasn't T-started and remained stationary. What are they doing? Hurry and drag those people off the train." 10 minutes later, Huang Jinkai, with a bruised visage, endured excruciating pain as he was brought before the American commander. "Are you Su Yunzhou?" Huang Jinkai hurriedly replied, "No, I am not. I am Huang Jinkai." The commander squinted. "Do you have identification?" Huang Jinkai quickly asserted, "Yes, sir. It's in my pocket. Produce it." The commander took the Demon Hunter Guild-S credential from Huang Jinkai and, after a cursory glance, could not help but exclaim. Indeed, he was not Su Yunzhou. Huang Jinkai's expression brightened. It appeared this military force was searching for the one named Su Yunzhou, and he was not involved. Yes, I am not Su Yunzhou. You have mistaken the person." However, the commander chuckled lightly. Regardless, he was brought down from the train. Let us take him back and subject him to rigorous interrogation. He must have connections with someone named Su Yunzhou. Huang Jinkai's expression changed dramatically. "Wait, you are accusing me unjustly." The officer chuckled coldly. "Accuse unjustly? I never wrongfully accuse the innocent. Whether it's unjust or not, you'll find out when you return with me." In New York, atop the Empire State Building, there exists a name seldom revealed to the public, Wells. Yet, he is undeniably one of the most powerful figures in America. Within the corridors of power, few do not regard him with respect. Several governors, including those from New York, owe their positions to his clandestine support. His assets stretch across the entire nation, encompassing military industry, civilian technology, smuggling, drug trade, and corruption, with his influence evident in every sphere. Naturally, even in smuggling, drugs, and corruption, taxes must be paid, a fundamental aspect of the American underbelly. At that moment, a sharply dressed man entered. "Sir, we have not captured Su Yunzhou and Zhang Ning, but we have apprehended Huang Jinkai. The three of them are all train conductors." Wells, with his back to him, gazed down at the view from the Empire State Building, nodded slightly, and remarked, "This incident involving heavy weaponry to eliminate vampires must be handled meticulously. It took me nearly a century to brainwash the vampire hunters. I do not wish for anyone to contradict this effort." "Yes, sir." As the suited man turned to leave, a sound of wings unfurling echoed through the air. With a thud, Wells unfurled his vampire bat wings atop the most iconic building in New York. His voice deep and resonant. "I am quite dissatisfied with Alec's performance this time. A slight warning is in order. Remind him that the reason humanity can still live with dignity is due to whose efforts." The suited man bowed his head. "Yes, sir." The officer who had just captured Huang Jinkai naturally brought him to the Vampire Hunters Guild. Being a vampire hunter, he refrained from overstepping his bounds. Upon seeing a robust and dark-skinned vampire hunter exiting the interrogation room, the officer smiled and inquired, "Did he confess?" Soren emerged from the interrogation room, adjusting his belt, a look of satisfaction on his face as he addressed the officer. He confessed. He admitted to killing the vampires on the streets and illegally employing heavy weaponry. The total damages incurred to civilians and public property amount to a staggering $35 million, all attributable to him. With a grin, Soren added, "The evidence is irrefutable." The officer's smile widened. "Indeed, you vampire hunters possess remarkable skills." At that moment, a sergeant entered to report, "Sir, that fellow still refuses to join our ranks." The officer and Soren exchanged glances, rising together to head toward another interrogation room. Perhaps someone has already guessed his identity. At platform 14, although designated for 4 individuals, only 3 conductors had appeared from beginning to end. The 4th individual is present within this interrogation room. Vorlost, the vampire, is currently bound, his body bruised and battered, exhibiting a state of near lifelessness. Thorn's tone is harsh. Can't you fellows who disembark from the train behave yourselves? The officer sighs. This fellow has endured 4 hours of questioning, yet he steadfastly refuses to sign the contract or join our ranks. You're a vampire as well, are you not? Is working for your kind truly so displeasing? Vorlost remains silent, casting a sidelong glance at his interrogators, revealing his bloodied fangs. Get lost. The 12-hour layover has concluded. The train at the station lies in ruins, its contents looted by soldiers. After the troops departed, a few vagrants attempted to enter, only to discover that the train inexplicably started moving on its own. Amidst the thunderous clamor, the battered train emitted a sound akin to a mournful wail as it journeyed into the distance. Yet this time, no conductor remains. Chapter 137. The powerful blood bond upon the desolate expanse, an extraordinary sight emerges. 2 trains travel in tandem, one long and finely crafted, the other short and unadorned. The shorter train soon falls behind, unable to keep pace with its longer counterpart. However, their paths remain aligned. As long as Su Yunzhou reduces the speed of his train, the 2 shall still have the opportunity to reunite. Fina serves a pot of congee made with preserved eggs and lean meat as the 4 gather around the dining table. Considering that Zhang Ning has just completed his treatment and is unfit for rich foods, Su Yunzhou instructs Fina to prepare a simple pot of congee. Consequently, Zhang Ning partakes in the dish, savoring the congee in small bites, while Su Yunzhou, Fina, and Lilith enjoy their meal accompanied by 4 dishes and a soup. Ah, splendid, he exclaims, pleased that everyone's needs have been thoughtfully addressed. Su Yunzhou gestures towards Lilith. Ning Ning, this is Lilith, a succubus. Are you familiar with succubi? Zhang Ning shakes his head. Do you know Liu Bei? He inquires further, his confusion deepening. Liu Bei is a succubus? Su Yunzhou affirms with certainty. Indeed. It refers to Liu Bei, the illustrious succubus of the Han dynasty. Zhang Ning shakes his head again. I have not heard of him. Lilith swallows her morsel and adds, if you continue to provoke young ladies, you may find yourself transforming into a succubus as well. Su Yunzhou is taken aback. Really? Is that true? No, it is a jest, she clarifies. What? So it is merely a ruse? Fina, who is peeling shrimp for Su Yunzhou, furrows her brow upon hearing this. Boss, why do you look so utterly disappointed? Meow. Hakimi, with its front paws on Su Yunzhou's lap, gazes up at him with amber vertical pupils. Su Yunzhou tosses the remains of his lobster head to it. Hakimi happily feasts on the treat. At this moment, Zhang Ning suddenly inquires, My lord, how shall I return to my train? Su Yunzhou, choosing not to respond, turns his gaze towards Lilith. The sagacious succubus donned an enigmatic expression. Humph, there are indeed methods at our disposal. Firstly, teleportation magic could suffice, provided we can accurately pinpoint the location of your train. Secondly, given that both your trains traverse the same desolate expanse, they should theoretically arrive at the same station. However, Su Yunzhou interjected, the next stop is the 15th station, which is the audition platform. Lilith then realized, indeed. She turned to Zhang Ning and remarked, your current prowess is surely insufficient to participate in the auditions alongside Su Yunzhou. So you shall not encounter one another at the next stop. We shall simply await the station thereafter. Fina, with a countenance full of distress, lamented, does that mean Ning Ning must remain here for such an extended period? Upon hearing this, Zhang Ning could not help but display a look of guilt, feeling as though she were causing trouble for others. Yet, both Su Yunzhou and Lilith wore expressions that suggested an understanding of Fina's ulterior motives. If Zhang Ning were on the same train, Su Yunzhou would be unable to impart his wisdom freely, and Fina would be unable to repay any kindness. At that moment, Fina seemed to have a revelation. Boss, I suddenly thought, if the blood contract can control the trains, why can't we connect the 2 trains? Su Yunzhou shook his head. That presents a certain degree of difficulty. However, Fina countered, where lies the difficulty? As long as both trains maintain the same speed, they will be in relative stasis. And Ning Ning would merely need to leap back on her own train. Su Yunzhou glanced towards Lilith, who nodded before shaking her head. While theoretically feasible, Zhang Ning's train, after all, was not her own, and and she was not aboard Zhang Ning's train. On what grounds could she exert such precise control? A single miscalculation could result in the two trains differing in speed, potentially casting Zhang Ning into the void. Without a train, lost in desolation, what a dire fate that would be. Lilith refrained from speaking further, fully aware of the terrors that lay within that realm. Countless demigods and innumerable pseudo-deities had traversed from the virtual realm into desolation, all inevitably succumbing to its influence, losing their sanity and becoming deranged. Although Lilith did not voice these thoughts, she knew Su Yunzhou understood her implications. Yet Fina proposed, why not give it a try? Though her tone suggested a discussion, Su Yunzhou discerned an undercurrent of confidence in her words. Lilith furrowed her brow, silently contemplating. Fina, appearing harmless, nonetheless exuded a certain commanding presence. Utilizing such tactics to expose Zhang Ning to the might of the void, to ensure she comprehended who the true matriarch of Su Yunzhou's harem was, Lilith's gaze darkened, and this time she chose to remain silent. Observing Fina's earnestness, Su Yunzhou also nodded in agreement. Subsequently, he decelerated his train while endeavoring to accelerate Zhang Ning's. After several minutes, the two trains ran side by side across the desolate landscape. Fina placed a hand upon Su Yunzhou's, saying, Boss, the forthcoming operations may fail numerous times. But fear not, I shall guide you. Su Yunzhou appeared somewhat perplexed. Lilith, the wise succubus, too was taken aback. What scheme was Fina concocting? In the next moment, Su Yunzhou perceived a train operation interface materializing before him, or rather, before all present. Fina's eyes flickered with streams of data, and she seemed to deduce some outcome. Suddenly, Zhang Ning's blood pact erupted in a brilliant light, penetrating even through clothing. On the other side, Zhang Ning and Su Yunzhou's train successfully docked. Indeed, they had achieved a successful connection. As the doors of the two trains opened simultaneously, they astonishingly expanded into a 1-meter-wide passage, bridging the gap between them. Witnessing this spectacle, Lilith was the most astonished. She stared wide-eyed at Fina, exclaiming, Impossible! How could your blood pact control abilities reach such a level? This cannot be. Even an exalted contract should not wield such power. If trains can achieve this, then surely blood pacts could induce hypnosis or even body modification. The master-servant contract has been an eternal topic of discourse. As deities engage in conflict, the victors inevitably contemplate how to completely dominate the vanquished. Thus, contracts emerge. However, contracts are not omnipotent. The more formidable the entity, the more challenging it becomes to exert control through a pact. Most contracts merely ensure that the other party will not directly harm me. A select few can guarantee absolute loyalty. An exceedingly rare contract may compel the other to obey my commands. Yet, agreements pertaining to altering consciousness or body modification demand exceedingly stringent conditions. For instance, the mother of breeding can only forge such contracts with her progeny, which simultaneously erases their individual consciousness. But what was Lilith witnessing now? There seemed to be no stringent prerequisites. Merely inscribing a mark and shedding blood to establish dominion could yield such results? No, it was impossible. Lilith furrowed her brow and shouted. Chapter 138. Lilith, unbound from Seal's Fina, was startled by her outburst. Teacher Lilith, what is wrong with you? Lilith appeared not to heed her words, her mind racing as she pondered the current situation. It cannot be. It is impossible. How could you have developed such a level of contract? You should not possess such talent. Su Yunzhou sensed an anomaly in the situation. Fina, please return Zhang Ning home first. Fina nodded. Ning, just walk back. Do not fear, the boss is controlling both trains. Everything will be fine. Zhang Ning, somewhat bewildered, nodded in response. The scene, resembling a docking maneuver akin to that of a space station, left this young girl, who had only recently been introduced to modern technology, momentarily at a loss. It was as if one had just mastered the art of slaying the elusive adversary, and immediately, with a flourish, summoned forth the formidable might of Zhang to vanquish a five-blooded treasure. Zhang Ning found her cognitive faculties somewhat overwhelmed. She delicately traversed the circular passage formed by the doors of two interconnected trains before retreating to her own carriage. Within mere meters, the two trains reverted to their original states. Upon her departure, Su Yunzhou promptly inquired of Fina, "Can you orchestrate such intricate maneuvers with the train?" His eyes gleamed with excitement. Might we transform our train into a colossal centipede train? Su Yunzhou mused that if the train doors could unfold into a passage, there was no reason the sides of the train could not sprout hundreds of centipede-like legs. Could we perhaps transmute the front of the train into that of Optimus Prime? If not, then even a Thomas the Tank Engine front would suffice. However, Fina did not meet Su Yunzhou's gaze. Instead, she timidly pointed at Lilith. "Be boss." The look in teacher Lilith's eyes is quite terrifying. Lilith placed her hand upon Su Yunzhou's shoulder and stated, "What you propose is impossible. The train's internal modules lack such capabilities." Her eyes gleamed with an uncanny intensity as she continued, "The recent coupling was merely a built-in setting. It can be executed as long as a train conductor possesses control over both trains." "Very well," Su Yunzhou replied, his tone laced with palpable disappointment. The enchanting demoness gently guided him back to the sofa, saying, "Su Yunzhou, I understand your inclination to jest, but this matter requires clarity." Lilith turned her gaze towards Fina, who appeared to flinch under scrutiny. Understanding the train's internal operations is not particularly challenging. One merely needs to access the control panel and conduct some research, she stated. "You have shared the permissions for the train's control panel with me, have you not?" There was nothing to conceal in this regard, and Su Yunzhou nodded in affirmation. Fina's expression was one of utter confusion. After a brief pause, Lilith continued, "Indeed, Su Yunzhou has formed a blood pact with Zhang Ning, granting him a degree of control over her train. However, there exists a conundrum. Ultimately, Zhang Ning's train does not belong to Su Yunzhou. The coupling maneuver just performed could only be executed if both trains were under Su Yunzhou's ownership." Upon concluding her explanation, Lilith's gaze pierced through Fina with an unprecedented earnestness. "Fina, may I examine the fundamental operational logic of the blood pact?" Fina appeared flustered, as if she wished to elucidate something, yet found herself rendered speechless. Lilith tugged at Fina's collar. Unlike Zhang Ning's blood pact, Fina's was not inscribed by her own hand, but rather manifested directly upon her chest. As Lilith tenderly traced the intricate patterns of the blood pact, she too became momentarily bewildered. "How can this be? How do you possess such potential? By all accounts, a talent of your caliber should not merely serve as a saintly figure under the auspices of a demigod." Lilith's perplexity deepened. If I could acquire someone of Fina's brilliance, she would undoubtedly be nurtured as a successor. Moreover, she, who lacks the ability to reproduce, would cherish such talent even more. How peculiar indeed. A contemplative expression emerged on Lilith's petite, doll-like face. Suddenly, she inquired, "What prompted you to voluntarily forge a blood pact with Su Yunzhou?" In that instant, a spark of inspiration ignited within her mind. It seemed that all the pieces of the puzzle could be interconnected. Why, with such terrifying potential, was Fina merely an ordinary saintess of the church? And why would such a being willingly submit to Su Yunzhou? Could it be that the one who endowed Fina with such potential was none other than Su Yunzhou himself? It all connected. Everything was falling into place. Yet, the logic grew increasingly absurd. Initially, Lilith gazed fervently at Fina. Now, her fervent gaze was fixed upon Su Yunzhou. Instinctively, Su Yunzhou took a step back. "Why are you looking at me with the predatory eyes of succubus?" Lilith licked her lips, swiftly retracting the aura of desire that surrounded her. Never mind. There was no need to rush. However, this scene left Su Yunzhou thoroughly frightened. "Goodness, you cannot board my train. I am inviting a wolf into my home." Lilith flashed a wicked smile. "You have chosen to summon an evil deity. Are you not prepared for the consequences?" Su Yunzhou produced a photograph. "The evil deity I intend to summon resembles this." The image depicted a pink octopus adorned with adorable cat ears and a cat-like mouth. The astute succubus cast a casual glance at it and chuckled, "How pedestrian." The young girl approached Su Yunzhou, meeting his gaze levelly. Standing, her height barely matched that of seated Su Yunzhou. "You are indeed impressive. If you can reach level 20, I would not mind placing a small wager on you. What do you say? Shall we strike a deal?" Her voice brimmed with allure, yet she refrained from exerting her power, for succubi inherently possess an extraordinary charm. Su Yunzhou narrowed his eyes, sensing that entering into a deal with her might lead to significant trouble. Nonetheless, he was not one to refuse. He exhaled deeply, his thoughts swirling chaotically. "Why aim for level 20? He asked. Lilith replied, "Your talent is formidable, yet your current strength is insufficient to unleash your full potential. Once you reach the third tier, you should be able to influence me. Su Yunzhou nodded, then inquired, and what would the terms of this deal entail? A glimmer of battle intent flashed in Lilith's eyes. I will assist you in utterly eliminating the goddess of reproduction, granting you complete dominion over the power of reproduction. Su Yunzhou's heart stirred at once. He yearned to survive, and the goddess of reproduction loomed as an insurmountable obstacle. Moreover, he had been informed that reproduction had already been tainted by it, becoming indifferent to actions and desolation. Had it not been for Yi Feng's presence, reproduction could have killed him at any moment. Therefore, Su Yunzhou must eliminate reproduction. Fortunately, a previous encounter with spectators and numerous demigods severely injured the progenitor, preventing her from continuing her interference. Su Yunzhou withdrew his thoughts and inquired, "What is it that you wish for me to do?" Lilith gazed into his eyes, showcasing her starry, resplendent orbs. "Your task is to make me fall in love with you." Chapter 139. Can we reconcile? Su Yunzhou. Fina. Hakimi. ZZZ, is it truly so surprising? Is it so difficult to win my affection? Lilith furrowed her brow and asked. Su Yunzhou immediately nodded. I cannot say I possess the confidence to satisfy a centuries-old virgin. However, Lilith patted his shoulder reassuringly. Fear not, it is not as daunting as it seems. Once I relinquish the suppression of my succubus nature, you shall easily conquer my heart. It is quite simple. She spoke with utmost conviction. Yet, Su Yunzhou remained uncertain and tentatively suggested, perhaps you could first release the suppression so I may gauge the situation. It was well known that Su Yunzhou was not one to breach a promise. Thus, prior to the completion of this transaction, he wished to ascertain whether he could succeed. Lilith nodded in agreement. Very well. With that, she gently pressed her hand against her smooth forehead. A thought seal, inscribed by her own hand, was directly lifted. Subsequently, both Su Yunzhou and Fina noticed that the pupils of Lilith's eyes transformed into heart-shaped pink orbs. She began to emanate a pink mist, its sweetness and richness rendering both of them somewhat dazed. Teacher Lilith, is this your succubus talent? Such power resides within a succubus, Fina exclaimed. However, Lilith replied, a typical succubus would not possess such capabilities. My rank is elevated. I am no ordinary succubus. She then turned her gaze towards Su Yunzhou. Now, do you possess confidence? Suddenly, her delicate form quivered, and she stumbled forward. Instinctively, Su Yunzhou attempted to evade her, but realizing it would be improper, he restrained himself. Lilith's frail body fell into his embrace. Su Yunzhou hastily remarked, I understand now. Your succubus nature is indeed quite compelling, and I feel I possess the confidence to pursue you. But might you retract it for the time being? Lilith vigorously shook her head. No, I cannot exert my powers within the confines of this train. While I can unseal the thought, to reseal, it requires magical energy, which can only be done in the void realm. Su Yunzhou proposed, when do you plan to return? I. Lilith gasped for breath, her entire being beginning to shimmer with a pink haze, casting an eerie atmosphere throughout the train. Fina sensed something amiss. Master, it seems rather strange, doesn't it? Then, Lilith licked her lips. Yunzhou, you appear quite delectable. Su Yunzhou retorted, is this the demeanor of your entire succubus clan? No wonder you had to impose a seal upon yourself. Without it, would you not be committing crimes at every turn? Lilith shook her head, yet her eyes sparkled with affection. No, it is not like that. I truly cannot restrain myself. Your scent is simply too exquisite. I have never encountered such a delightful aroma. You are indeed a paragon. At that moment, Lilith finally embodied the essence of a true enchantress. Her youthful visage bore a manic, fierce smile, and her eyes radiated a pink glow of love. Su Yunzhou's lips twitched, forcing a smile. Can we reach an understanding? Now, Lilith pressed down on Su Yunzhou. Surely you jest? This time, Hakimi was particularly vigilant. Meow. A great battle is imminent. Meow. The winds are fierce. Meow. Hakimi turned to look, seemingly finding no human wielding a water gun. After a careful observation, its little mind was perplexed. Meow. Perhaps humans are different. Meow. Humans are truly strange. After pondering for a moment, feeling a slight itch in its head, it decided to remain, curling back into its cat nest. The feline mused, it is not that busty human, so nothing should go awry. It nestled in its cozy abode, drifting into a deep slumber. 2.5 hours later, Hakimi was once again drenched like a drowned rat. This time, it did not react with panic. Instead, it stood up from its nest in a daze. I'm such a fool, truly. It felt its brain beginning to operate uncontrollably at high speed. Is it going to switch forms? Thinking that if it wasn't her from the start, it wouldn't be attacked, it is going to switch forms. Morning already? I'm so hungry. Su Yunzhou slowly opened his eyes. The most vigorous Lilith was already seated by the bedside, gazing calmly out the window. Her delicate and charming face bore a subtle, satisfied smile. Serene and beautiful. Awake? Would you like something to eat? Lilith inquired, her tone imbued with warmth. I crave something substantial, high in energy, perhaps stir-fried noodles with sea cucumbers, he pondered. Lilith asked, do we have noodles? Yes. And sea cucumbers? Indeed. Then why are you staring at me? Call Fina to prepare us stir-fried noodles with sea cucumbers. The industrious Fina, looking content and vibrant, entered the kitchen car. Only then did Su Yunzhou glance at the time. What on earth? I slept the entire day. Lilith shook her head in denial. We only fell asleep at 3 in the afternoon on the second day, and now it is 6 in the morning. So we have merely slept for 15 hours. Upon reflection, Su Yunzhou found it utterly absurd. Lilith, too, deemed it quite ridiculous. Fina, however, felt an unparalleled sense of satisfaction. Su Yunzhou, the succubus is truly a terrifying creature. Lilith, Yunzhou, humanity is indeed a fearsome entity. Fina, giggles with delight. Su Yunzhou could not help but inquire. Does this satisfy the terms of our transaction? You must assist me in eliminating that creature of propagation. Lilith nodded. Fear not. I have no desire to remain a widow. I shall take care of the matter of propagation myself. Su Yunzhou raised an eyebrow. That being is one that even the observers cannot vanquish. Do you truly possess the means? He added, are not the observers heralded as the mightiest beneath the true gods? Lilith regarded him with an air of haughty pride. However, this expression on her petite, youthful visage exuded an inexplicable aura of a mischievous little demon. The so-called mightiest beneath the true gods is, in essence, merely a demigod. Such a bold assertion. Su Yunzhou felt as if he had latched onto a significant ally, the leg of a wealthy little lady. Yet, contemplating the possibility of being regarded as the succubus's delicacy cast a slight shadow of sadness upon him. The thought of such a disheartening fate caused the corners of Su Yunzhou's mouth to twitch uncontrollably. He immediately turned to Hakimi, who had just re-entered the carriage, and asked with a hint of reproach, what on earth happened to you, covered in dirt? Did you wander into the black soil compartment again? Look at you, covered in filth. Just wait until Fina teaches you a lesson. Moreover, what is the deal with this mud? It clings to you, and one T come off. Surely the black soil, isn't that damp? Chapter 140. The Great Fortune, Pill 1. After educating Hakimi, Lilith shared with him an attribute panel. Lilith 1. My panel seems rather peculiar. Do you have any insight? The little girl squinted her eyes at Su Yunzhou. Su Yunzhou pondered for a moment, deciding not to conceal the truth. You must have already guessed my innate ability, right? Lilith nodded. Indeed, it grants a value of 1 to others, correct? Theoretically, could it not also extend to 2 or 3? Lilith inquired, simultaneously beginning to sense the changes within herself. She was momentarily taken aback. Although my power has only seen a slight enhancement, my potential has surged dramatically. Potential? Su Yunzhou questioned, perplexed. What sort of potential are you referring to? Lilith responded, potential determines my limits. Originally, I would have only reached the status of a demigod in my lifetime, but now, I feel I am on the brink of touching the threshold of a true god. Su Yunzhou's brows twitched, feeling somewhat incredulous. What is this? Are you also destined for a sudden ascension? In ancient times, Cao Cao's sudden rise harmed 3 sages. Now, it appears that Su is about to create a true god with a single stroke. However, Su Yunzhou was also somewhat puzzled. He had not utilized any points. Could it be that the legendary notion of saying no with the mouth, yet the body being earnest, holds true? Yet, there remained another issue. Lilith was not his subordinate. He was unable to allocate points to her. Even previously, with Zhang Ning as a subordinate train conductor, he had been unable to allocate points. It must be something akin to pets, a possession that wholly belongs to Su Yunzhou, for him to allocate points. Otherwise, Su Yunzhou might as well become a Bodhi ancestor, dealing with any monkey that crosses his path. After all, with an infinite supply of bronze points, as long as Monkey Brother does not betray himself, it suffices. Lilith narrowed her eyes and nodded, as if she had come to a realization. Yet, she did not elucidate her thoughts to Su Yunzhou. Even if she did, he would not comprehend. She needed to ponder how to convey her ideas in a more accessible manner. Having lingered a bit too long, she decided it was time to return. Fina, emerging from another carriage, inquired, "Master, aren't you eager to finish your breakfast before heading back?" There were numerous matters at hand, so she chose not to linger. With that, Lilith transformed into a wisp of white light and vanished. Once back in her own chamber, Lilith found herself momentarily stunned. She licked her lips as desire surged uncontrollably within her. "No, Lilith, you must not descend any further. Ever since being summoned to the train by Fina, your duties have piled up like a mountain. You truly cannot afford to indulge in such thoughts." With formidable willpower, Lilith focused on her mind. A seal swiftly formed upon her brow, suppressing all the frivolous and unwanted thoughts. This endeavor was not without discomfort. Nevertheless, Lilith managed to prevail through sheer determination. Entering her sage mode, the succubus Lilith settled back into her rightful place. As the most astute being of the succubus clan, her affairs were naturally numerous. While her physical exertion was minimal, the mental toll was substantial. "Curse Su Yunzhou, how dare he make me dangle above the ground?" Lilith murmured her grievances while rapidly addressing her accumulated responsibilities. Meanwhile, Su Yunzhou leisurely finished his breakfast before indulging in 2.5 hours of gaming in the esports room. Afterward, he turned his attention to more pressing matters. First, he opened 2 blue treasure chests, yielding a total of 32 energy crystals, 3 fine-quality pieces of equipment, 1 perfect piece, and 1 fine consumable, as well as 1 perfect consumable. The 3 fine-quality items were promptly discarded, prepared to be tossed into the recycling machine, for they did not pique his interest. However, the perfect-grade equipment truly caught Su Yunzhou's attention. Jade pendant type, accessory quality, perfect effect 1. When worn, grants 10 psionic attributes. Effect 2, after 3 devout bows. There's a 3 chance to receive 39 energy crystals. Internal cooldown of 24 hours. Description: you can't possibly think of wearing this around your neck, can you? Fina. Su Yunzhou called out. Fina, who was busy tidying the carriage, hurried over. "Boss, what is up?" Su Yunzhou held up the jade pendant. "Is this thing attractive?" Fina hesitated for a moment before reluctantly replying. "It's beautiful." "Then put on." Fina protested. "Woe is me. Is it too late to say it doesn't look good now?" Upon donning the jade pendant, she immediately felt her mind clear and her soul elevated. So this was an keepable item. My spiritual energy attributes have significantly enhanced. Fina felt a surge of excitement. Su Yunzhou nodded in acknowledgement. "If you like it, that's good. Now, perform a full prostration." Fina paused for a moment, her cheeks flushing as she knelt down. Having been guided by Su Yunzhou several times, her posture was impeccable. "Rise," he commanded. "Yes, master." "Once more." "Oh, stand up. Shouldn't you tidy your clothes, master?" "No need again." Fina began to feel that her master was teasing her. Subsequently, she found 9 energy crystals raining down upon her head. Su Yunzhou remarked, "Repeat this every day and consider these energy crystals your private savings." Huh? Fina felt somewhat bewildered, but soon she realized it must be the pendant's influence. Meanwhile, Su Yunzhou examined 2 consumables, equally intriguing to him. Super delicious steamed fish soy sauce. Type, item quality, excellent effect, regardless of the cooking method used for any fish. Adding a hint of this steamed fish soy sauce will render it extraordinarily delectable. Description: perhaps we should forget about that mermaid? It seems to be a perfect match for the infallible fishing hook. Su Yunzhou produced the next item. Fortune pill. Oh, could it be the legendary elixir that enhances my luck? Let me see its effects quickly. Luck is a rare attribute. Fortune pill 1. Type, consumable quality, perfect effect. Upon use, summons a high-speed vehicle that obliterates everything in its path. Description: there's an extremely low chance of sending the obliterated individual to another world. Su Yunzhou mused. So this is the fortune it bestows? He then retrieved 2 bottles of Enhancement Potion V-Type. Enhancement Potion V-Type. Type, consumable quality, perfect effect. Upon use, permanently increases physique by 6, agility by 3, and spiritual energy by 1. Limited to one-time use, with no side effects. Description: a certain white wolf tribe girl. Will drinking this truly make me stronger? In front of Su Yunzhou, This potion had side effects. After consumption, one would feel an intense burning pain throughout their limbs, akin to being forcefully roasted over a fire, lasting for 24 hours. However, after using it, this negative effect vanished. Yet, the potion's inherent effects did not amplify. It still only augmented those specific attributes. Chapter 141. The second selection, Su Yunzhou pondered for a moment. One bottle for himself, and the other for Zhongning. Had this been the Zhongning prior to their blood pact, Su Yunzhou might have hesitated. However, at this moment, Zhongning indeed found herself sharing the same bed with her own self. On the other hand, considering that Zhongning was on the same station as herself, it would be somewhat unfair to leave her empty-handed. With a mere thought, Su Yunzhou tossed a vial of potion to Zhongning. Inside the train, Zhongning appeared somewhat perplexed, but she soon looked up at the ceiling. "My lord, is this for me?" Though she could not see Su Yunzhou, she was aware that he could observe her from his perspective. At this moment, Su Yunzhou's view encompassed the entirety of the situation within Zhongning's train. Moreover, his connection to Zhongning's feelings became increasingly palpable, akin to playing a virtual brain machine game. Subsequently, Su Yunzhou also threw the basic materials required for the train's upgrade to Zhongning. Ever since the second generation of the Great Heart Energy train, his train upgrades no longer required basic resources. Upgrading from level 3 to level 4 necessitated energy stones, which she would have to procure on her own. He could not assist her there. However, a level 3 train was already among the top 10 in the region, so there was no need for her to be overly anxious. Su Yunzhou was aware that most train conductors' levels still lingered at level 2, transitioning towards level 3. Alright, the next stop is the audition station. You handle it as you see fit. I have little to teach you. Understood, my lord. Su Yunzhou ceased his observation of Zhongning's train and redirected his focus to his own. He gulped down a strengthening potion, enhancing his attributes, before retrieving several exquisite pieces of equipment. Approaching the super magical recycling machine too, he fed them in one by one. As the machine's probability reached 69, it suddenly dropped to 0. Simultaneously, a pair of dark golden metallic trousers was ejected from the recycler. At last, he had received a reward. This was an epic quality piece of equipment. Without hesitation, he selected it and examined it closely. Dreamlike Xianjin Iron Shorts 1. Type, Armor, Quality, Epic Defense, High Defense, Effect 1. Immunity to 99 of damage from kicks. Effect 2. Regardless of how precise the attacks on the core area may be, the damage sustained will be distributed across other parts of the trousers. Effect 3. If the wearer refuses to remove them, these trousers cannot be taken off until they are completely destroyed. Description: a boy must protect himself when venturing outside. 2. This piece of equipment must be leveled up to 2. Su Yunzhou had no reservations. An item capable of defending against lethal strikes was worth every investment. Thus, he wasted no time and inserted a silver point into the machine. Nowadays, Su Yunzhou sought to conserve silver points wherever possible. Yet for such exceptional gear, he chose to wield his resources wisely. Peerless Mysterious Gold Iron Pants 2. Type, Armor, Quality, Epic Defense, Extremely High Defense Power, Effect 1. Immunity to 99 of damage from kicks with a rebound effect. Effect 2. Until these pants are completely destroyed, the core area is immune to all damage. Effect 3. If the wearer refuses to remove them, these pants cannot be taken off until they are entirely destroyed. Note: even if the wearer's body is torn in half, removal is impossible. Description: in baseball, the protective cup made its debut in 1874, while helmets only emerged in 1905. Indeed, it took nearly 30 years for men to realize the importance of their heads. Su Yunzhou donned the pants. After a moment's contemplation, he dismissed the notion of allowing Fina to kick him. For a while, Su Yunzhou immersed himself in the absorption of experience points. Soon, the 15th station arrived. The second draft platform. This time, Foreseeing Vision exhibited no reaction either. The train will arrive in 10 minutes. All train conductors, please prepare. Next stop, second stage draft, difficulty, none type. 10-person position upon a platform amidst the starry sky. It was a realm of dreams and beauty. Su Yunzhou, feeling bolder this time, confidently stepped off the train and made his way to his seat. Many familiar faces greeted him, though there were few strangers. Looking around, he realized he recognized almost everyone. Zhao Yin, Zhuge Hong, Yang Ming, Sakamoto Kyoto, Wu Shuang, Qin Ruoshui, Yili. To Su Yunzhao's surprise, his good friend Yi Feng was notably absent from the top 10. The remaining two, one male and one female, were indeed strangers to him. However, this posed no issue, as the referee would soon make introductions. This time, the referee did not abruptly appear in the center of the stage. Instead, she transformed into a stream of light, gracefully descending to the center of the stage like a fish gliding through water. A petite, cheerful girl, adorned with a shimmering trail of starlight, landed softly, allowing all to behold her beauty. Her long hair transitioned from pink to purple, and her mismatched eyes, one green and the other purple, sparkled with mischief. Clad in a soft, resplendent top and embellished with glimmering accessories, she resembled a playful sprite sprung from the galaxy. "Hello, everyone. I'm a Twilight Star Spirit." Zhuge Hong's eyes brightened. "Twilight Star Spirit, are you a mysterious being of noble status dwelling in Twilight City?" "Oh, Star Spirit," she elongated her words playfully. "You know much more than others." Adjusting his glasses, Zhuge Hong, acting as a strategist, naturally possessed special channels for intelligence gathering. The Twilight Star Spirit pondered. Placing a finger on her lower lip, the observer told me that you all are interesting fellows, which is why I have come to serve as your referee. Since that is the case, let's engage in a game together. At this moment, she abruptly halted. "Oh, wait a moment. I must first introduce the rewards of the game." With a graceful wave of the Star Spirit girl's arm, various bubbles, each containing an array of peculiar items, materialized before the audience. Among these were 5 exquisite grade items and 5 perfect grade items. The 5 exquisite grade items included skill card, warrior spirit, equipment, jetpack, item, self-heating kettle, consumable, immunity potion, and skill card, luminous culinary art. Su Yunzhou cast a fleeting glance and immediately lost interest. However, his attention was captured by the perfect grade items. Consumable, Thunderstone, was the first. Before Su Yunzhou could fully process it, several individuals gasped in astonishment. Clearly, the majority of contestants in the top 10 had already ascended to the 3rd level train. They, evidently, were all stuck at the Thunderstone, unable to progress to the 4th level train. In this regard, Su Yunzhou had indeed pulled far ahead of them. He bypassed the Thunderstone and focused on the other items. Special item, Abyss Mine Map, weapon, Frostbite Sword, item, Eye of Hell, equipment, Phoenix Armor, Chapter 142. Truth or dare, the Star Spirit danced in the air, her voice oscillating in a whimsical manner. "I believe everyone is already familiar with the rules of the selection, right? However, this time, the selection will not involve any combat. Let me think, what kind of game should we play?" I know. With that, the Star Spirit summoned 2 game cards in her hands. "Let's play Truth or Dare." A casual atmosphere enveloped the room. This time, Qin Ruoshui's seat remained beside Su Yunzhou. She leaned over, and the two whispered to each other like students covertly conversing during a lecture. Qin Ruoshui remarked, "It seems there was an issue last time, so they specifically invited a strong participant this time." She recalled the previous election, where the viewers had sent a referee, Black Butterfly, soaring into the sky. To avoid any unforeseen incidents this time, they had summoned this entity known as Twilight Star Spirit. Su Yunzhou replied, "I suspect the viewers couldn't summon any true powerhouses and had to settle for some bored deities to assist." Qin Ruoshui furrowed her brow. "Are deities not impressive?" Su Yunzhou expressed his disdain. "They are utterly unimpressive, merely a bunch of individuals with overwhelming power, wielding certain rules and authority. They sound noble like emperors, but in reality, even a beggar could take on that role." Su Yunzhou's perspective was shaped by his earlier experiences in Pingran Village, where the viewers appeared lethargic. Moreover, he had since become acquainted with Killer of Brothers, who offered him deeper insights into the nature of deities. Most importantly, the incident with the lowly succubus Lilith had made Su Yunzhou realize that deities are, after all, human. Now, Su Yunzhou stood unyielding with the conviction, with one thought: "I can transcend the heavens, unafraid of gods and demons." Suddenly, a sharp female voice pierced the air between the two. "You two, are you actually whispering?" The Twilight Star Spirit materialized between Su Yunzhou and Qin Ruoshui. Upon catching sight of Su Yunzhou's face, she instinctively recoiled several meters. In the depths of his eyes, Su Yunzhou read something anew. He was about to exclaim, "I swear I am not a Lilicon. Who has been spreading such rumors about me? Ever since I arrived on this survival train, it seems the entire world believes I am a Lilicon." Just as Su Yunzhou was about to unleash his grievances, A spark of realization flickered in his mind. Why, since the onset of this survival ordeal, has everyone labeled me as a lullicon? What had I done before entering this train? Went grocery shopping? Rode a merry-go-round? Enjoyed a lollipop? Pondering with his chin in hand, he found it perplexing. How strange. I have not engaged in any activity that might associate me with such a label. The star spirit did not grant him the luxury of contemplation. She turned her gaze toward Chin Ruashe, hands on her hips and frowning. I detest tall girls. It is well known that the twilight star spirit stands at merely 139 meters, while Chin Ruashe towers at about 170 meters. The disparity between them was akin to that of an elementary school student and a university student. Furthermore, although Chin Ruashe donned a combat-ready outfit, her abundant curves could not be concealed. In stark contrast, the originally petite twilight star spirit appeared as nothing more than a child. Gritting her teeth, the twilight star spirit declared, "During the upcoming selection, I will target you." Su Yunzhou twitched his lips. Is it truly necessary to be so blunt? Shouldn't there be a modicum of subtlety? What is there to conceal? The star spirit retorted with candor. Women with such ample bosoms ought to experience my malice. Do you have any objections, you wretched lullicon? Su Yunzhou shook his head earnestly. None whatsoever. Now, let us commence the selection without delay. Starlight coalesced around her, lifting the star spirit into midair as she announced a name. 10th place. In that moment, a multitude of thoughts swirled within the minds of the onlookers. To achieve a position among the top 10 in the entire region, one must possess extraordinary talents, high-level attributes, or remarkable equipment, items, and skills. Among the attendees, aside from Zhuge Hong, who was well-informed, everyone else exuded confidence in their abilities. Su Yunzhou, too, firmly believed he was undoubtedly the best. Unfortunately, being the first meant being selected last. Among the 10 contestants, 8 were preoccupied with this very thought, with the exception of Zhuge Hong and Wu Shuang, one overthinking, the other underthinking. Sakamoto Kyoto, train level 3, personal level 7. Until his name and rank were announced, Sakamoto Kyoto was preoccupied with the thought that, even if you're not first, he should at least secure the second or third position. After all, he possessed sea-level skills across 3 systems, a feat that made it quite improbable for anyone else to have learned even a single sea-level skill thus far. The first tier corresponded to F-level skills and ordinary items, while the second tier related to D-level skills and fine goods. Even the luckiest of train conductors, who managed to acquire a level 3 sea-level skill at the second tier, would find such an achievement utterly inconceivable. Sakamoto Kyoto, with his delicate and exquisite features reminiscent of a Korean male star, lifted his gaze. The words just uttered by the twilight star spirit jolted him from his reverie. Me? He incredulously retorted. The star spirit nodded affirmatively. Oh, what is there to be surprised about? Isn't this perfectly normal? Do you actually believe you would be first? In reality, you are the least impressive one here. Sakamoto Kyoto shouted, "This is impossible. I am a level 3 conductor. Ascending to level 3 is exceedingly difficult." How could that be? The twilight star spirit, with a resigned gesture, replied in a teasing tone, "Oh dear, everyone present is a level 3 conductor, and you are the last to reach that rank." As Sakamoto Kyoto surveyed the others, an initial surge of anger ignited within him, swiftly transforming into embarrassment. He glanced at the other 9 individuals, his eyes filled with deep apprehension, particularly towards Wu Shuang, who appeared somewhat daft. This individual was undoubtedly formidable. Despite her seemingly foolish demeanor, he could not comprehend why she ranked above him. Clearly, she was adept at concealing her true abilities, playing the role of a fool to deceive her opponents. In a fleeting moment, Sakamoto Kyoto's thoughts raced, and the star spirit presented him with 2 choices. Second-tier difficulty. Answer a truth-telling question. Note, the question will be one you are capable of answering correctly. With only one opportunity provided, a wrong answer, a lie, will be deemed a failure. Third-tier difficulty. Answer a truth-telling question or undertake a daring adventure, each with a 50 probability. Note, the truth-telling question is entirely random, while the adventure may present life-threatening dangers. The Twilight Star Spirit's eyes sparkled with curiosity and anticipation. Hurry and choose. I can hardly wait to hear you select the second-tier difficulty. Chapter 143. It seems magic really hurts. Upon reviewing the options, it became immediately clear that the second and third tiers were not equivalent in challenge. Yuli furrowed her brow, questioning, wasn't it stated that there would be no danger during the selection process? What does the possibility of death signify? The Twilight Star spirit displayed a somewhat exasperated expression. Oh dear, if we don't do it this way, wouldn't it be rather dull? Can an adventure devoid of any danger truly be called a grand adventure? If you truly wish to avoid taking risks, then simply opt for the second-tier reward. I shall not compel you. After the Twilight Star spirit uttered these words, even those who wished to argue found it futile. It was merely a fleeting contest of bravado. Since the judge had already established the rules, even if those rules were unreasonable, the weaker ones could not alter them. It was evident to all that the Twilight Star spirit was unlike the previous judges. She was not bound by the constraints of the Doomsday Observer. Thus she could act freely. Rest assured, in the realm of the virtual, risk is always commensurate with reward. For those who attain the third-tier reward, I shall personally bestow upon them a third-tier station ticket. This ticket grants passage to the next stop at the third-tier platform. What say you? Upon hearing this, the crowd fell silent, devoid of grievances. A ticket to the third-tier station. Even Su Yunzhou, who held the Dominion throne, could only access the best second-tier station at present. Everyone understood that whoever could reach the third-tier platform first would gain access to superior resources. Of course, this would also entail greater risks, as the challenges at the third-tier platform demanded higher combat prowess. Upon learning of this additional reward, Sakamoto Kyoto felt a surge of relief, grateful for his choice. If he could attain the third-tier reward, he would not only receive the original prize, but also the coveted ticket to the third-tier station. Such a reward is indeed rare. After the crowd expressed their astonishment, the Twilight Star spirit turned her gaze back to Sakamoto Kyoto. She inquired with a somewhat high-pitched voice, "So what is your choice?" "I choose the third-tier difficulty." Sakamoto Kyoto's tone conveyed unwavering determination. He was an adventurer, his abilities merely average, and his talent unremarkable. Yet, through audacity and a stroke of good fortune, he had persevered thus far. "Excellent," remarked the Twilight Star spirit as she placed her hand upon the stack of third-tier difficulty cards and drew one at random. In truth, this action held little significance, but she found it quite stylish and ceremonious. "You have drawn a great adventure." Upon hearing this, Sakamoto Kyoto's heart sank, a foreboding sensation washing over him. He nearly uttered the words, "I forfeit." Yet ultimately, he overcame his fear and fixed his gaze upon the card in the Star Spirit's hand. The card flipped to reveal its contents. Endure 3 random magical skills from the Twilight Star Spirit. Sakamoto Kyoto's eyes widened in disbelief. "How could I possibly withstand your 3 spells? Are you jesting? Even one would be enough to bring about my demise 1,000 times over. I cannot possibly achieve this." The Star Spirit waved her hand dismissively, "Not quite. The power of my random magic is also unpredictable, and it may even bestow a beneficial buff spell upon you, causing you no harm whatsoever. Essentially, this is but a game akin to a roll of the dice, albeit with a touch more peril." Sakamoto Kyoto swallowed hard. Was he truly prepared to proceed? "I accept," he declared. "Please, step into the center of the stage." With a heart full of trepidation, Sakamoto approached the designated spot. Soon after, the Star Spirit unfastened the protective seal that enveloped him, revealing an expression of eager anticipation and joy. "Are you ready, Sakamoto Kyoto, the train conductor? Here it comes." In an instant, before Sakamoto could even react, a whirlwind erupted violently at the center of the stage. The wind was immensely powerful, spinning at an astonishing speed. However, its duration was fleeting. A mere 10 seconds later, Sakamoto plummeted to the ground. The Star Spirit patted him on the back. "You're quite fortunate. You randomly drew a control-type magic, which inflicts almost no harm." Yet, Sakamoto began to retch uncontrollably. Within the tempest, he had been utterly unable to vocalize a sound, and now he found himself wailing in anguish. "It hurts so much. It's unbearable. I can't continue. I forfeit the reward. No. Don't bring it on again. Let me go back. Please." He felt as if his internal organs had been displaced, his brain reduced to a pulp, and every limb in his body was rebelling against him. Dizziness, nausea, burning sensations, immersion, pricking pains, and heavy impacts. An array of chaotic agonies surged through him. In those brief 10 seconds, Sakamoto felt as though he would need a lifetime to recover. The Star Spirit inquired once more, Are you truly willing to forfeit such a splendid reward, and you would abandon it? I give up. I say I give up. I implore you, spare me. The latter shrugged helplessly. Alas, I am at a loss with you. I shall cancel your reward. The Twilight Star spirit donned a rather irritating expression. You're acting as if the magic is genuinely painful. Sakamoto yearned to retort, yet words eluded him in his current state. His body urgently conveyed the message. Rest immediately. Having lost his qualification, he staggered back to his train, unwilling to remain any longer. This scene left the onlookers trembling with fear, each silently resolved that should they encounter a troublesome grand adventure, they would steadfastly refrain from courting disaster. The Star Spirit continued to announce, Ninth place, Yang Ming. A robust man with a square face and resolute features gazed silently at the Star Spirit girl. Train level, 3. Personal level, 7. He was not surprised by this outcome, as there had already been Sakamoto Kyoto as a reference. However, he did not believe himself inferior to the other 8. The data presented by the selection only reflected train level and personal level. Yet Yang Ming was confident that his combat prowess was undoubtedly on par with anyone present. Even against the formidable Wang Yuxiao, who had been sent soaring, he felt assured that the odds would be evenly matched. In matters of combat, he has never feared anyone. However, the current dilemma lies in this selection game, which resembles a game of truth or dare. This predicament leaves him quite troubled. When it comes to confrontation, he finds himself somewhat at a loss. After much contemplation, he opts for the second-tier difficulty. The Twilight Star Spirit, displaying a lack of enthusiasm, promptly poses a question. Before participating in the train game, how many people have you directly killed? Yang Ming fell silent for a moment before responding, 8. Upon hearing this, the others present regarded Yang Ming with a mixture of astonishment and apprehension. He had killed before even entering the train game. Was he a murderer? Or perhaps a serial killer? Yuli, known for her impulsive nature and quick speech, exclaimed in shock. Chapter 144. Lu Yuting. Yang Ming then cast an eagle-like gaze over her. Yuli obediently returned to her seat, refraining from further comment. Zhuge Hong adjusted his glasses and remarked, not necessarily. He could also be a spy or a mercenary. The Blue Star is hardly a peaceful place during our participation in the train game. While the group found this explanation somewhat acceptable, their wariness and suspicion towards Yang Ming undeniably intensified. If he had committed murder after joining the train game, it might not have been deemed significant. However, to have killed prior to the game raised serious questions, especially given Yang Ming's imposing appearance, with his muscular build suggesting a life akin to that of a gangster. Suddenly, a peculiar sound erupted from the Twilight Star Spirit, snapping everyone's attention back to her. She announced the 8th contestant, 8th place, Lu Yuting. Train level, 3. Personal level, 8. Following her gaze, everyone turned to the 8th girl. This young lady bore a hint of baby fat on her face, yet her overall figure was tall and alluring, with a cascade of lustrous black hair falling to her waist. Her bright eyes darted around like a vigilant hamster. Indeed, she resembled a hamster. At that moment, the crowd realized that she had been leaning over, nibbling on a large steamed bun. Yes, a sizable steamed bun, concealed beneath the table. They had not noticed it until she lifted her head and sat upright. They then saw that the bun was nearly the size of her palm. By now, she had consumed a quarter of it, and even upon being called, she continued to munch, mumbling, "Is it my turn?" The Twilight Star Spirit appeared particularly irate. How outrageous! To engage in such gluttonous behavior during my hosted selection. You have committed one of the 7 deadly sins, the sin of gluttony. Lu Yuting, as the Twilight Star Spirit. I must deliver a fitting punishment today. With her mouth full of bun, Lu Yuting stammered, What punishment? You shall not eat anything today. The Star Spirit's tone was severe and menacing. What? That is far too harsh. The Starry Spirit girl nodded with satisfaction. Now you understand fear, don't you? She then revealed a triumphant expression. However, if you choose to challenge the 3rd level of difficulty, I shall refrain from imposing any punishment upon you. Lu Yuting promptly agreed. All right, I accept the challenge. No matter what, she could not bear the thought of enduring a day without food. Death would be a more preferable fate. How much more entertaining this would be. The Starry Spirit's eyes sparkled as she drew another card. Congratulations, you have drawn a truth card. At least this poses no danger. Does it? However, I must caution you. The 3rd level truth may not consist of questions you are familiar with. Answer incorrectly once, and you are deemed wholly wrong. Yuli directly remarked, rather than calling this a truth card, it would be more fitting to label it a knowledge quiz, wouldn't it? The Twilight Star's spirit pondered this, her finger resting thoughtfully on her lips. Then, she made a silly face at Yuli, her eyes crossing as she stuck out her pink tongue and exclaimed, "I don't care. I shall still call it truth card." The crowd responded with surprise. Zhuge Hong furrowed his brow, evidently perplexed, and quickly urged, "Judge, please continue with the selection." "Very well, Lu Yuding, your question is, in the year of the train, who was awarded the Urbino Peace Prize?" Upon hearing this, not only did Lu Yuding appear bewildered, but the others in attendance were equally dumbfounded. What kind of question was this? Their initial confusion revolved around determining what year was the year of the train. However, they soon realized it referred to the year they participated in the train game. Yet, what did which type of person signify? Shouldn't the inquiry pertain to names or nationalities? How could one respond to such a vague question? Even the astute Zhuge Hong wore a befuddled expression, unsure of how to answer. More importantly, they genuinely had no knowledge of the recipient of the Peace Prize from the year of the train. How could they respond? Lu Yuding's eyes widened as she unconsciously munched on her snack. Though she had finished the bun, she was now devouring a pack of wafers. I don't know. Soon, however, for options began to materialize beneath the question. Lu Yuding beamed with joy. "Ah, it's a multiple-choice question. This is what I excel at." Upon hearing this, Zhuge Hong mentally noted, "This gluttonous girl must have excellent luck." Yet, Lu Yuding quickly added, "Because I can only do multiple-choice questions during exams." Zhuge Hong used 6. The 4 options presented were A. President of a superpower, B. Former environmental activist, C. Traitor, D. Architect of peace. Lu Yuding's gaze sharpened as she instinctively focused on option C. Her intuition told her that selecting C would undoubtedly be the correct choice. As for the meanings of these options, she barely glanced at them. At that moment, the Twilight Star spirit suddenly remarked, "All right, others are allowed to speak, chat, and remind each other of answers. There will be no restrictions from my end." Lu Yueqing's hopeful gaze turned towards the others. However, it was evident that they would not show any kindness. If she answered correctly, the reward for the 3rd level difficulty would diminish by 1. Why should they assist her? On the other hand, Lu Yueqing, the gluttonous girl, was utterly misguided. Did she genuinely believe that her pitiful expression would elicit help? Perhaps she should present some tangible benefits. Noticing the lack of assistance, Lu Yueqing felt a pang of sadness and prepared to select option C. At that moment, Zhao Yan let out a peculiar laugh, saying, "The answer should be C, right?" In truth, he could not possibly believe that C was the correct answer. How could a distinguished recipient of the Harmony Award be labeled a traitor? Nevertheless, Lu Yueqing's eyes lit up. Someone else thought the answer was C. This indicated that her choice was not erroneous. However, the others regarded Zhao Yan with expressions of disdain. They would not aid this gluttonous girl, yet they still maintained a modicum of integrity. The attendees collectively scorned the notion of deliberately providing a wrong answer. However, Zhao Yan could hardly be considered a person of integrity. Ever since he joined the train game, he had completely let loose. To illustrate, he would say, "I simply do not eat beef." Thus, merely offering a wrong answer was beneath him. Even Zhao Yan himself deemed such behavior trivial. Before long, Lu Yueqing decisively locked in her choice on C. The expression on the Twilight Star spirit was distinctly peculiar, resembling someone who had been constipated for 10 days. "Lu Yueqing, your answer is correct." The crowd. Chapter 145. Zhao Yan targeted the collective sentiment was one of absurdity. Only Lu Yueqing beamed with joy, even nodding at Zhao Yan. Yet, Zhao Yan perceived her smile as laden with sarcasm. It felt like an affront to his intelligence. Being inherently impatient, he immediately shouted at Lu Yueqing, "What are you laughing at, you glutton?" Lu Yueqing was taken aback by his demeanor. She thought this fellow must be mentally unstable. She was merely smiling kindly, and he had the audacity to berate her. Was it not said that one should never strike a smiling face? Why was this man so fierce? A classic case of losing the chicken while trying to steal rice, as Zhuge Hongyun's calm voice resonated from Zhao Yan's side. "You, my friend, I was merely making a casual remark. Some individuals should not take it personally. How infuriating. You're finished four-eyed freak." Zhuge Hong's gaze resembled that of an observer watching a primary school student. What was this? Kindergarten bullying? On the other side, The Twilight Star Spirit had bestowed upon Lu Yuting the third-tier rewards she had chosen, Thunderstone and tickets, which directly fell into her possession. In response, the gazes of the onlookers towards Zhao Yin grew increasingly hostile. Who among them did not yearn for the Thunderstone? This artifact could elevate a train from level 3 to 4. A treasure so rare and coveted had been claimed by someone who appeared foolish and gluttonous. Zhao Yin was utterly detestable. Not only the train conductor, but even the Twilight Star Spirit regarded Zhao Yin with palpable malice. Ah, it was you who prompted her with the answer, wasn't it? Excellent. You have performed splendidly. I must reward you accordingly, without waiting for others to react. She declared, 7th place, Zhao Yin. Train level, 3. Personal level, 8. Compulsory choice, 3rd tier difficulty. Random result, adventure awaits. Experience death. In a flash, a crimson button materialized on Zhao Yin's table. The entire process took less than 3 seconds, during which the crowd was still fixated on the Thunderstone and tickets in Lu Yuting's possession. Meanwhile, a button appeared before Zhao Yin. It was only then that he realized, wait. He shouted, this is not right. You cannot do this. This is against the rules. Rules? The Star Spirit made a face. What I speak of is indeed the rule. Are you not rising to the occasion? I. Damn it. Zhao Yin gritted his teeth, staring at the red button on his table, his mind in turmoil. The Twilight Star Spirit added fuel to the fire. You have only 10 seconds to deliver it. Once time is up, it will be deemed a forfeiture. 10, 9. Zhao Yin felt beads of sweat trickling down his temples, as two inner voices clashed in his mind. The greedy little Yin urged, experiencing death does not necessarily mean true demise. Take the gamble. The fearful little Yin retorted, this referee is clearly targeting me. Choosing will undoubtedly lead to ruin. The greedy little Yin pressed on. Shall we relinquish the 3rd tier reward so easily? Do you believe you can enter the top 10 without this selection as reward next time? The fearful little Yin countered. What good is the top 10 if we lose our lives? In this hesitation, the 10 seconds felt excruciatingly long yet fleeting. Time was up. Zhao Yin failed to make a choice, thus forfeiting the adventurous challenge. The Twilight Star Spirit spoke with a tone of profound regret. What a pity. You have lost your reward. Cursed be this moment. Zhao Yan's cheeks flushed crimson, his eyes burning with fury as he glared at the little girl, seemingly on the verge of lunging to tear her apart. Yet he held back. He understood that he could not confront this being before him. For now, he must endure. To endure for a moment brings calm seas. To take a step back opens up vast horizons. Zhao Yan rose and quietly returned to his train, leaving his seat behind. The figure stood there, somewhat desolate. Regret was absent from his heart, replaced solely by resentment towards Lu Yuting and the Twilight Star Spirit. Why is one so fortunate? Why must another target me? I shall ensure that you both pay dearly for this humiliation. Today's disgrace will be repaid 100-fold. He grasped his fate card tightly. Fate card. Fire. The flames, once vibrant and radiant in his chest, subtly darkened to a deep, ominous black. All right. Next up is the 6th position. At this moment, the audience fell into a profound silence. Such an irascible entity, indifferent to the rules, left everyone at a loss. Yet, this was the nature of the Twilight Star Spirit. What was enjoyable was good, while what was dull was bad. How tedious, exceedingly tedious. Your current demeanor complicates matters for me. Is this truly the way one should behave in a game? Let us seek some amusement. With a wave of her hand, the identity of the 6th place was announced. 6th place, Zhuge Hong. Train level, 3. Personal level, 9. Please select your difficulty. Zhuge Hong had intended to choose the 3rd tier difficulty long ago. However, at this moment, without hesitation, he declared 2nd tier difficulty. After witnessing Lu Yuting and Zhao Yin tackle the 3rd tier challenge, he realized that it was no mere game. It was simply the Twilight Star Spirit amusing herself. Such a game was one he would never join. Indeed, the Twilight Star Spirit exhibited a somewhat bored expression and casually tossed out a question for Zhuge Hong to answer. What is 1 plus 1? 2. Correct. Choose your reward. Now let us see who is next. 5th place, Yuli. Yuli lowered her head, feeling a twinge of frustration. Am I truly only in 5th place? Alas, Wu Shuang, Qin Ruoxue, and Su Yunju are all formidable, having shared a station with them. I acknowledge their superiority. And that fellow, Wang Yuxiao, must undoubtedly be the strongest, claiming the first position. As these thoughts crossed her mind, her mouth instinctively uttered, "I choose second tier." Though she possessed confidence in herself, she, like Zhuge Hong, felt that after witnessing the misfortunes of those who came before her, securing a minimum guarantee was advisable. However, the expression of the golden-haired, twin-tailed, lowly Nana suddenly froze. Her gaze fixed upon the